The moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerfherder Chandler, Jim Kaiju Baker, and Christina Yojimbo Henry. You can continue. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Oh, we're in just like that.
We're broadcasting from the beach.
Good. We're safe. Actually, in the first movie, it's not safe.
Nope.
You're not safe in the air. You're not safe under the water. You're not safe on land. I don't know. Was I the only one who the entire week watching these back-to-back movies just saying Baby Shark?
You were the only one.
I was the only one. Oh, I thought you were going to say, yeah, you were like Baby Shark.
That did not cross my mind. Yeah, we
At
are.
all. Does that show my mindset? I'm a child.
We've got a pair of aquatic sequels this week.
Oh, toothy twofers.
Yeah. And again, this is one of those movies. I'm talking about our second feature, Jaws 2, that I have always wanted to cover. Just waiting for the exact right moment. And this seems to be it.
I don't think there is not a better pairing you could have come up with for Jaws 2. But you watched Meg 2 first and then rewatched Jaws 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. I did the opposite, which I watched Jaws 2 last week and then last night watched Meg 2. There's a lot of other movie references thrown around in Meg 2. The laundry list.
They throw the kitchen sink at this thing.
Not maybe for the best.
Well, we'll get there.
We'll get
there.
That's what we do on this show.
Yeah, we always get there. But before we do get there, do you have any news this week?
I do. I feel like we haven't really, with the writer's strike, there's not a lot going on. But you brought this to my attention last week. And we've talked about this ad nauseum on this show because we spend a fair amount of time in Regal Cinemas. And we have referenced this movie quote campaign that runs before every screen.
Yeah, the ad that you see over and over and over again, second only to that Gran Turismo trailer.
Which is finally out, by the way.
Yeah.
So feel safe on that one. But I think we're safe on this one, too, because it looks like Regal pulled it, according to some people who have gone to the theater, that they were not subjected to it the last go around.
But I wonder if it's just Regal coming up with a new one that's equally or worse.
But here's the thing, right? So in concept, it's a great, even though it doesn't make any sense, it's just a bunch of random people throwing out lines of dialogue from movies, which we all do. Not to this point where you can't even hold a conversation. They're just quoting each other back and forth. But why would this not have been part of a larger series that spanned 3 or 4 different ads?
Especially after the "Hey You Guys" hits, because one of the comments on the story about them not showing this anymore was like called out that "Hey You Guys" moment, saying, "I feel embarrassed for her" when that comes up. For
the line of dialogue or the overhaul she's wearing. So I didn't realize until I read the article that there is online, and of course I shouldn't be surprised that there's online hatred for something, but the vitriol for this is just palpable. It's just, it's disgusting. We go to the movies every week. We've probably been exposed to this 50 times. It doesn't matter what commercial you run. You're going to get sick of it.
You know, I feel the same about, what is that soda? Bublé? Michael Bublé's. Yeah.
Bubbly, yeah.
But they did get rid of the girl who talked about the Regal app, and that was very irritating.
But at least there was 4 of those. There's 4 different characters that pop out of the movie poster.
This is true, but they showed her for months on end, and then suddenly you get these random other characters, and then they stopped showing it. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe they did focus groups and it's like, oh, this is the most popular one. All right, we'll just run her ad nauseum. So, anyways, yeah, rejoice. We're not kidding.
And if you don't have a Regal, you have no idea what we're talking about anyway.
No, I know. But like I said, there was a fair amount of people, which is good that people at least going back to the theater. But of course, you can't go without complaining about something.
Yeah. Well, the AMC crowd, they do get Nicole Kidman. So we sympathize with you for that.
Yeah,
where she is pointedly sitting in a theater without anybody else sitting around her. I'm sure that's the way she goes.
Well, since Regal is now paying attention, or at least decided that maybe they should back off on this, can I just suggest that we get less Maria Menounos? I even have kids in my theater who mimic that. Laugh.
Well, if you go to a speedway, you get her at the gas pump too. So I
get out of here.
Yeah, you never saw her on the gas pump. You know how at some gas pumps at most.
I try to go to BJ's.
Okay.
Because at least it's 40 cents cheaper than anywhere else. But,
because when you pump the gas at a speedway, you get a little screen and you get commercials. And there's Maria Menounos doing like a 15-second ad for her podcast.
Should we be broadcasting from a gas station?
Maybe we should. Yeah.
Are we that attention deficit that we need televisions at the gas station?
At the gas station.
I can't focus on pumping this gas for 10 seconds. I need something to take my mind off it.
Yeah, put her in a tank top and then let her go to town.
Well, they used to do that 20, whatever it was. And she would like interview people and they would have clips from shows. Now it's just ads. Anyways, all right, we digress, which is what we do.
Yep.
So Regal's getting rid of this. We'll never talk about it again until, like you said, maybe all of a sudden there's another version of it.
Yeah, maybe if there is, they can enunciate this time.
Enunciate.
Mr. Musk. Mr. Musk.
Maybe we can actually get the real Zach Galifianakis. I mean,
first time I saw that, I'm like, did they get Zach Galifianakis?
I'm still convinced. I'm still convinced it's him, but I can't find it anyway. But you bring in Danny Trejo's.
Yeah, you did.
Like,
That's why I thought maybe it was.
Why have one celebrity? He's the only guy who said, "Yeah, I'll do it." We may have talked about this news item, but I'm going to bring it up again because I know that it's one of your favorite subjects. 55 years after the flesh-eating undead first rose from the grave, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead zombies will be back among the living in Twilight of the Dead. Apparently, this is the last and seventh in the film franchise, the Romero.
Yeah, although you say seventh, but a lot of fans hold the first three as the true continuity and canon of these zombie movies because, well, Land of the Dead is arguable because that probably does exist. I think in his mind anyway, it did exist in the canon, but the others that came after it, like Diary of the Dead, and then there was another one where they were on an island.
Castaway of the Dead?
Yeah, I think those sat outside of the canon. So I would really love it if somebody made a movie based on his original treatment for what Day of the Dead should have been, because Day of the Dead, he couldn't get the budget from whatever distributor or studio was going to put it out. But he had a whole master plan where zombies have been trained by the survivors to obey them. So there would be teams of zombies, zombified armies that on the orders of the surviving humans would go out and kill the zombies that were out there. So it was such a large scale production that he couldn't get the budget for it. So it was scaled way back for the Day of the Dead that we got, which was like the one surviving scientific team training one zombie. So it was the beginning of
it all.
Them, becoming complacent. And
so that Army
obedient.
of the Dead we got from Zack Snyder was not.
That was nothing. Yeah, that was nothing.
That's how your eyes rolled just when I mentioned it.
Yeah.
So apparently this Brad Anderson has been announced as director. And since I'm not really entrenched in the horror world, I don't know these. He's directed The Machinist, Blood, and Session 9. Do you recognize any of those movies? Yeah,
the Machinist was that Christian Bale movie where he lost.
Oh, that was like 100 years ago.
I know, yeah.
Huh. All right. So anyways, I guess Roundtable Entertainment is partnering with the Romero estate, and they're going to produce and finance this. So this Brad Anderson is on board as director, and he has a quote here. which kind of, I guess, it kind of like shows you where he's going with this movie, and it does not sound like it's what you just described. So I don't think you're getting your wish. Here's this quote. This too is a zombie movie in which limbs fly and heads roll, but one that is also about social transformation. One that asks the question, what is it to be human? It's also a horror movie with heart and, dare I say, hope. I don't know what that means.
Nothing about zombie armies in that statement.
No. And he goes on to, it's an honor and a privilege to kind of play in the sandbox. So I don't know.
Back in the 80s, because I knew about this treatment that was never filmed, like shortly after the actual Day of the Dead came out in 85, because Romero did interviews about what he wanted to do and what had come out, without disparaging the product that was in theaters at the time. And I thought to myself, even then, as a 14-year-old, that would be awesome.
Awesome.
I had visions of like the A-Team theme playing as zombies were like, dun, 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 like the van pulls up, the door opens, and they all get out with machine guns.
I'm surprised in this day and age, no one's taken that treatment and turned it into a comic book or a video game or even like just released it as like a screenplay novel.
Yeah, I know.
Something. Who knows with this writer's strike now, what's going on with any of this stuff we talk about? Could sit there and linger for a couple more years.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll all be zombies by the time it comes out. And then I have this news item, which I'm absolutely over the moon about, and I find this fascinating. Sid and Marty Krofft are getting their own channel.
Really?
Apparently, there's a company, it's called Cineverse, who has the rights to this stuff. And they will be putting together a channel. Now, I did a pretty deep dive trying to find like what platform this is going to be on, because I know Tubi has like Godzilla channels and Star Trek channels and, The Bachelor, if you want to watch Win, Lose, or Draw for 12 hours ad nauseum. So I don't know if they're going to put this together and then shop it to a potential streaming service.
I see. So it wouldn't be like its own streaming service. It would be part of an existing.
It must be, yeah. Somebody's going to buy this channel from them. But we're talking HR Puffin stuff, Bugaloos, Lidsville, Sigmund and the Sea Monsters, Land of the Lost, Lost Saucer, Far Out Space Nuts.
I said lunch, not launch.
And season 1 and 2 of the Krofft Super Show. And the season 1 and 2 of this Krofft Super Show have not been seen on any platform since the original 1976 broadcast.
I remember that there was a band that used to host. I think maybe it was the Krofft Super Show. I think the name of the band was King and the Kongs.
Oh, maybe that's okay. Well, so included with this within this season 1 and 2. That says complete uncut versions of the Electro Woman and Dyna Girl, Wonder Bug, Dr. Shrinker, Bigfoot and Wild Boy, Magic Mongo. Plus, there's a Superstar Hours Horror Hotel.
Yes, that had Witchy Poo.
Witchy Poo. That was okay. I do remember.
So,
that.
And it had the bad guy. What was his name from Lidsville?
It
wasn't Charles Nelson Riley.
Somebody else played him.
Somebody played that guy.
Was he imitating Charles Nelson Riley?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
And you couldn't tell from the makeup.
Oh, as a kid or
visually that it wasn't him
because he didn't have his ass.
But if you watch it now, you can definitely tell as an adult.
Well, this also mentions Bay City Rollers. So
yeah, they hosted as well. So the Bay City Rollers were involved in the later 70s, but in the mid 70s, there was this other band called King and the Kongs. And I remember
King and the Kongs
watching some, like not too long ago, some YouTube videos of the ABC broadcasts. And for a couple of these shows, this band broadcast from that Sid and Marty Krofft amusement park, the indoor amusement park.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
It's all getting remastered.
Nice.
I know.
Nice.
So we're going to stay on top of this because this is very exciting. And they also say, so they mention all of these shows and then say, as well as other surprise releases. So I don't know what other Sid and Marty Krofft properties are out there that are not listed in this is pretty extensive.
Well, they used to do live shows, like live tours with people in the mascot costumes. Again, on YouTube,
Yes.
there's something from the Hollywood Bowl from 1974, the Brady Bunch, along with Sid and Marty Krofft's creations and Jack Wilde. So it was like a big variety show.
I think you probably shared that. So I remember vividly as a kid going to see the Banana Splits, but they were not part of Sid and Marty Krofft.
No,
correct?
they were not. I don't
They were
believe
just,
so.
they were Hanna-Barbera.
I remember going to see a live Super Friends show as well.
Really?
So it was people,
With people
dressed
dressed
as
up?
Superman and Wonder Woman.
Really?
Yeah.
The other show I didn't mention, which is Lost Island. And I think that's where Richard Donner got his start.
Oh, okay.
Directing. I believe that we have talked about that. So anyone who grew up in the 70s and watched any of these shows, and Land of the Lost always seemed to be on like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. So you had to get up pretty early for that crap. But yeah, this is exciting. This is something. I mean, what we get? 17 episodes of HR Puff and stuff.
Yeah, unbelievably, that's all that we ever got. It was one season. It was a huge hit, and they only did one season, but they also did a movie.
That is true, which we've also covered.
Yes.
But still, that's a solid day of watching 17 episodes.
Yeah, but if you think about it, though, because Puff and Stuff ran in the 1969 season, right? So that's when it debuted, and it was repeated throughout the 70s as reruns on Saturday morning. So for kids that remember watching it year after year, they've just been watching the same episodes over and over and over again.
I know what I'll be watching when it drops.
Oh yeah.
It's got to be on one of these stupid.
I've got some of those.
I've
I've got the Puff and Stuff. I've got the Bugaloos. I've got Lidsville in DVD box sets, long since out of print. So I've never looked them up to see how much they're worth. Not that I would get rid of them.
Speaking of out of print, this is probably almost 2 years ago now. I picked up the remastered Blu-ray Legend of Boggy Creek.
Yep.
When it dropped. And apparently now they're coming out with a 4K. So I mentioned on, I follow them on Facebook, and I think it's the director's daughter who's in charge of this company and who's really kind of championed for this remastered. And anyways, I said, it's too bad I didn't know this was coming out. I already owned the Blu-ray. And the author of the article says, well, you should hold on to that because those are worth a lot of money on the secondary market. And I went on to eBay, and sure enough, they're about $100 a pop now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got the DVD. So it was a while ago that I picked.
Yeah, this was a Blu-ray DVD re-release. And it looked pretty cleaned up. So I can't even imagine what a 4K looked like.
Right.
You might be able to see the zipper. Yeah. So that still scares the crap out of me. Damn movie. So, all right. So let's go from that scary to not so scary.
Oh, are we talking about the movie now?
I guess we have to. That's all the news. I'm sorry.
That was the segue.
That was a lame ass segue. Sorry. Do you have any news? That's usually what I ask.
Oh, wait a second. I did see something of note that they're coming out with a TV show based on the John Wick series.
The Continental.
The Continental on Peacock.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it.
Oh, maybe I wasn't listening.
You don't even listen while we're on the show. Yes, the Continental.
But yeah, I was like, hey, I know what that place is, the Continental.
Yeah. We're also we haven't talked about this in a while. We just mentioned Godzilla -1 off air. Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
Yeah, I saw that's dropping finally on Apple Plus in November.
It's on Apple Plus. Yeah.
November 17th, I think it said. So that means November 16th, I will be signing up for Apple Plus.
Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt. So I think Wyatt's playing flashback version of his dad, younger dad.
Oh, okay. So it's not like a father-son team up.
That's not what I'm getting. I'm getting that Kurt Russell is kind of like current day character and flashbacks.
Does he ever talk to himself on the CB radio?
I don't know. I hope so. That would be fantastic. Don't forget to buy Yahoo stocks. That's a deep cut right there.
So that means I will be signing up.
Oh yeah,
Apple Plus.
Yeah, because we will not only be covering Godzilla -1, which I think drops December 1st in IMAX.
In IMAX, I'm going to have to travel.
We might have to go to Danbury for this one.
Yeah,
this is not one of those show up Fathom events 2 nights only. Again, we spoke about this before off air. The trailer dropped, and of course, I had to watch it, and then I had to watch breakdown on YouTube, and it looks pretty spectacular.
I wonder who's putting it out stateside, who Toho is dealing with. I don't see why they don't just deal with Warner Brothers. It's since Warner Brothers is all in on this MonsterVerse.
Well, what's funny is I did see an interview with the director of this movie, and he's very impressed with what Legendary is doing with the MonsterVerse. And so I think that he's kind of following their lead, which is weird. That here's Toho now going, oh, look what these guys did. They took our properties and did something different. And
the design of Godzilla here, which I have seen, doesn't look wildly different than the MonsterVerse version.
Yeah. So very excited for that. Very excited.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. We're done with monsters. I guess put your swimsuit on, get your flippers on.
We're going in the deep end.
Oh, jeez. All right. Yeah, it's deep. It's deep as something here.
Whether either of these movies can swim, though, that is yet to be determined.
Are they seaworthy? I don't know. Seaworthy sequels.
The Meg 2. The Meg 2. Let me just tell you, though, that the Meg was one of the funnest early episodes that we did, and one of the better new movies that we covered in the early days. We loved the Meg. Well, maybe I shouldn't speak for both of us, but I loved.
No, I think we were both there. I think we were both wildly entertained. It was fun. It didn't take itself too seriously.
Plus, it's got Jason Statham.
Yeah, and Ruby Rose.
It's a megalodon.
We don't really get that. We don't get much. He doesn't say we don't get much of anything from him here.
No.
Jonas. Just the name alone, you're like, all right, you belong in the sea. So we open with which is not a nice reveal. Unfortunately, this whole 65 million years ago Cretaceous period, T-Rex comes out of the forest, tears into a bunch of these little, I don't know, velociraptor wannabe looking things. And you think that he is one, and then out jumps a megalodon and eats him. It's cool, but we've seen it in the trailer.
The entire sequence.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, okay. I guess we're getting this again.
But the T-Rex in this sequence looks almost spot on, exactly like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park.
What, you don't think she can't get other work?
No, because I was thinking when I saw this trailer before the reveal was the Meg, that this was yet another Jurassic movie.
Park.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with this movie, is that there's so many references to other movies thrown in here that it's all over the place. And we just talked about how great Jason Statham is in the first one and how fun his character is. And in here, you throw a ski hat on him, and it could be any one of his movies. This could have been an Expendables 3.
Yeah,
this could have been The Enforcer or whatever those other stupid
because
movies
he did, the first movie was all about the Meg, really.
Yeah.
Because it had that Jawsy type flavor to it. Not that it was in any league close to Jaws, but they focused on the shark, right? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So this one is more like you say, now he's doing the karate just like he is in any of his other movies. They're trying to get some action movie plot going that's outside of the actual giant monsters in this case. So you think you're getting more monsters here. You're going to get like triple the Meg action.
You're getting
less of the Meg action.
You're getting more Statham. He's referred to as a green James Bond. He's an eco warrior, and he's out trying to stop these illegal mining pirates from dumping radioactive waste in the water.
He's the Greenpeace guy, but instead of holding up a sign, riding adjacent to the ship, he's on the ship busting some heads.
Yeah. Good thing that roll of film can survive water. I'm sorry, we don't use roll of film anymore. So,
but kudos for getting the rights to Under Pressure, which was played at the very beginning. Yep.
Well, I have issues with the soundtrack at this as well, because the trailer also uses Barracuda, which we don't get in the movie.
Oh my gosh, that is probably the selling point of that trailer.
Right. And every action sequence you see in the trailer happens in the last 5 minutes of the movie.
All that jet ski stuff.
Yeah. Which he did. He did all his own stunts. I'll give him that. But you get a lot of nothing up front. I mean, it's 45 minutes in before you even see the Meg eat somebody. And it's like, that's what you want to see, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first one was gory. It was, Rainn Wilson was a fun character. You were happy to see him be eaten.
At the same time, he was the bad guy, and he was great comic relief.
Yeah. There is nothing funny about this movie. There's not one chuckle. Prove me wrong right now.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, no, right?
They try.
Yeah. It's a disappointment. I really wanted to see this in the theater. We waited too long. It was only playing once at like 9:30. It's gone now. It's out of my theater. Thursday was the last. I can't go to a theater at 9:30 at night after working a full day. I'm a cranky old man. I'll fall asleep. So I had to watch it streaming. I couldn't get it to play. I paid for it 3 times and it would only play the trailer.
Did they charge you 3 times?
Yeah, I had to then go and cancel it. I had to go. I hope. Yeah. So at least I got 2 emails confirming that they canceled the charge because it's $19.99 plus tax. So
Right.
you're paying like $22 for it.
Yeah. So
Which
it was
is
just
my
like
entire-
it was like you went to the theater, actually.
Oh, well, that's my entire Regal Unlimited monthly
Yeah.
for one movie. But yeah, so I paid a ton of money for this. So I think the first half an hour at least, I was really cranky, and
It sounds like you were disgruntled.
I was taking it out on this movie, but it wasn't doing itself any favors either. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. And I had no issues. And I was bored during the first half of this movie.
And that's the problem, and I finally had to say, all right, because I'm nitpicking everything that's going on. And I'm like, all right, that's not this type of movie. People are doing dumb things. The science doesn't make any sense. Turn your brain off and just watch this movie. And I really had to just take a deep breath, sit back and just say, I just want to enjoy this movie that I paid a ton of money for.
Mhm.
And I was not entertained.
And it still didn't happen.
It still didn't happen.
The team that we met in the first movie are largely here. We have
no Ruby
Jonas.
Rose.
No, I think she died. Didn't she, that character?
No, I don't think so. I'd still be in mourning.
I'll have to look at it again.
I don't think she died. Am I wrong?
We'll have to check that. But
So you kill Ruby Rose, but you let the damn dog live?
Pippin was the dog,
Pippin.
right? The same
Dog came
name.
back.
Isn't that the same name as the dog from Jaws?
Oh, yeah, no, it's the same dog.
Yeah.
Oh, Pippin.
Yeah,
It's a deep cut.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. Even in the first movie, I didn't pick up on that.
So Jonas is here. Cliff Curtis is Mac, who we know also from Fear the Walking Dead. DJ is back.
Yeah.
He's learned how to swim and he's brought some poison bullets from Jaws 2.
From Jaws 2, which is
Yeah.
not how they killed the shark, by the way. So
No,
why
no.
did he think that was going to
That
work?
always confused me as a kid. What the hell Roy Scheider was doing? I thought he was
Right,
a
'cause
drug addict. I thought he was like shooting heroin.
Well, we'll get to that movie because Brody has some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get the little kid again,
Oh,
but
she's
she's
not so
back
little.
as a 14-year-old, but it's the
Yeah.
same actress. So
It is, yeah.
So that was nice seeing the girl grown up from the first
Yep.
movie. But her mom has been killed off screen.
And now we bring in this uncle that we never knew about, and he's got unlimited resources.
Who's bankrolling all this research on the trench, which was discovered in the first movie. So it's like a hole, almost like an ozone layer in the ocean floor. And if you go through it, it's like a primordial world down there.
Which is a great concept.
Yeah. So, at Earth's core or something, or Journey to the Center of the Earth, it's like that type of thing. And this is where the Meg escaped from the first movie. So they've built this facility, up above the surface, like right around where this trench is, so they can just study it. That's what they do, is they study it. So
They didn't do a very good job.
no,
They said
They
at one
didn't.
point they've made 26 runs down there. There's another megalodon. It's like,
no,
wait a minute.
and even worse is there's a whole sea base down here. How did
Right.
this get past us? Yeah, how did
Yeah.
that get past you? And they have like a baby Meg in captivity.
Yeah, they've got this pet megalodon that he has a clicker, just like friggin' what's his name in Chris Pratt in Jurassic Park, that he
Yes,
can
yes.
control the velociraptors. This is
And-
where I'm.
The name of this thing is Hikey?
Heige. I had to actually phonetically spell it out. It's Hiqui or something like that, but he kept saying Heige.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It's not coming. It's not like Pippin. It's like, here, Heige.
And it's
Yeah.
very like, this is not scarred and ugly like the other Megs that we see
Well, what
later.
are they feeding this thing?
That's a good question. I do not know. They dropping in whales to this thing's cage?
And that's the thing, which is in the first movie, these things are tearing up whales. Like there's carnage going on. And yet I hate to even use it's toothless. There's no bite to it whatsoever. You know what I'm saying?
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, New York Times? If you need somebody to create headlines.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
I largely stayed away from any reviews on IMDb because, you either hate it or you're an idiot for not loving it. I was waiting for Mast and Thrust to show up because you do right with this lost world down there. You kind of get this kind of last dinosaur.
That was for you, Harrison Smith, if you are listening.
Yes. There's so much DNA from all these other movies, and I can just alphabetically go down a list: The Abyss, Alien, Avatar.
Oh my gosh. When we bring up the baby Meg, this also reveals, yes, the one line where I did chuckle. So there is humor.
Oh, okay.
Because once the uncle with his super suit is going down to prove to everyone else that he can control hockey, which is the
it's like a Pokemon. which
is the Meg in captivity. He goes in and he says over the radio, I'm going to conduct an experiment. Jason Statham, as Jonas, says, is the experiment, do I taste good? So that did make me laugh.
So baby Meg. Meg. Yeah. And I just wrote my notes. This guy's an idiot, but it doesn't eat him. But then you got the girl who's somehow like connected to the shark because it's also
lost its mother,
lost its mom. So I'm like, oh, are we going down this whole Kong road? Is she going to teach us sign language?
No, she never did.
That never panned out. Yeah. Mei Ying, that's the little girl's name.
That's a little girl's name. And they never really establish whether or not the guy's clicker controls the Meg in captivity because it just swims away from him at the last moment.
Right.
So it's not like it's friends with him. It's just when he clicks, it just means that it swims away, right? So then they go on their next exploratory mission into the trench and they want to map it. That's really what they're doing here.
They don't have drones for this.
Yeah, you would think
you have to send people down there. But in between those two scenes, the shark escapes.
Yeah, because I think it could sense
the other sharks,
the other Megs or what have you. And
this doesn't make any sense. You don't have a tracker on this thing. Nobody knows it's gone. Nobody realizes that this giant shark that lives in this tank is not there. And yeah, they're in the little subs, and there's two subs. So then the Meg shows up, and they're like, holy crap, that's our Meg. How'd she get out? So the only way to escape or evade this shark is to now go where it came from, where it's home.
Yeah. Okay. They come across, as they're in the trench, they come across an even bigger Meg than was in the first movie. More than one, actually. They're traveling in a pack. Well, there's the apex predator. They're following him.
Yeah, that's... For someone to literally point out that's an apex predator.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, yeah, all sharks are apex predators. Even your baby shark is still bigger than any shark that we know of.
Right.
And they make a mention to like, oh, no one's ever seen one that big. I don't know. There was some stupid line of dialogue, but leading into that, when they have to dive, DJ is back up in the command center and he says, this is some dumbass shit, mark my words. And I'm like, you, sir, are correct. That should be right across the IMDb page.
And that character was funny as well. So I was happy to see that character back, DJ, because he brings the Jaws 2 reference a little bit later.
Yeah.
But not only do they find other Megs down there this time, they also find a whole sea base, which has been built under their noses the whole time. So now there's only one way in and out of this trench, and they are monitoring this. So how do they not know somebody's going down there
to build a giant facility down there? And they're blowing things up. They're actually mining. So you're not hearing these explosions.
You talked before about them borrowing from other movies. So this is completely out of like Don't Look Up, right? Where in that movie, they want to mine the asteroid that's coming down for all the minerals that can now go into cell phones. And it's pretty much the same thing here.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Oh, this rock's worth $1 billion. Billion as in B? Yeah, billion. Even $1 million would be impressive.
Yeah. So the bad guys that are mining.
Was he Russian? What was this guy?
Montez was his name, right?
No, I know, but they left him very generic. We're not going to name countries. We're not going to name. He's just a bad guy. He's a terrorist.
He's an eco-terrorist that has run into Jonas before, and Jonas put him in jail or something. I don't really know what.
Yeah, apparently. One of his exploits.
So now he's out and he's being bankrolled by the same billionaire woman. And I guess she's meant to take over the Rainn Wilson role, but she's not funny at all. She's just like an evil mustache twirling villain.
Yeah. And it's so obvious that the girl in the command center is the saboteur.
Yeah.
I called it. I'm like,
so did I. They're like, that's her. The little girl that's mousy, that's her.
Yeah. And of course,
because she's the only new character.
Yes,
she's the only new character.
Yeah, right. Both subs end up crashing and they're trapped. And they tell you this 25,000 feet below the surface.
So then there's all this plot slog running out of oxygen in their subs. They have to put on their suits and walk through the bottom of the trench to get to the sea station, and then they're trapped in the sea station because the billionaire reveals herself as the bad guy.
This is where it doesn't make their master plan makes absolutely no sense, because it's like she makes it sound like they planned all this, but the Meg escaped. They had no part of that. They had no part in the subs crashing, or that they were going to somehow crash and find this mining facility and walk there. She waits until they're inside the facility and then reveals her master plan and then tries to kill them all. Just don't let them in. Just leave them out there to die. And I just want to point out 25,000 feet below the surface. I am willing to suspend my belief. And we do get the story that these suits are like mecha suits or whatever kind of thing. But no human has ever dove below 1,000 feet. The Titanic, which is 2.5 miles down, is only 12,500 feet below the surface. So you're doubling that. The pressure alone would have killed you. Sorry.
The first half of this movie is where they're stuck in the base and they're fighting the terrorists. And there's even like an Indiana Jones conveyor belt where the rock
Temple
rush.
of Doom, right?
Yeah.
Again, Poseidon Adventure, Die Hard. There's so many.
And there's so
Jurassic
many
Park,
fights.
We already mentioned Jurassic
Jason
Park.
Statham has like numerous fights with this guy Montez, who just keeps coming back.
25,000 feet below the surface. He goes outside by holding his breath and is not crushed. And they make it back.
I didn't even check the science. I don't know. Maybe somebody out there can check it for us.
No, there is no science. There is no science involved.
Because they said, well, if he lets the water into his nasal cavity, then he won't hit the pressure, won't kill him.
But again, do you remember the whole liquid oxygen in the abyss? And that's how he had to save his wife.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. This could have been out in space for all you know. And maybe the next one will be in space.
Because these are based on a series of novels. So they're trying to, in a general way, at least follow the storyline of these novels. But
I don't know how well they follow them, but you're right. It is based on the novel The Trench.
So you're just trying to get through the beginning of this, through all this supposed action
and shark mayhem. You get the giant octopus.
Yeah.
You start, and this is where when they're walking across the bottom and there's all the bioluminescent, and I'm like, all right, this is straight up Avatar, because now you're on an alien world and look at all these crazy creatures, but you really only get the giant octopus. You get these weird lizard things that are swimming. They're like piranhas,
but they're the same things from the beginning, the dinosaurs.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yeah
But they've existed underwater for 65 million years.
Yeah,
right?
So why do they have legs?
And suddenly they have the ability to breathe oxygen immediately.
They're fast learners.
So
again,
I don't even want to talk about the beginning of this movie anymore. I just want to talk about the Megs at the end.
Like I said, 45 minutes in before someone actually gets eaten. These are not whales. They're not picking up krill and shrimp and thousands of these creatures to sustain them. They're eating one human at a time. How fulfilling is that? And they're so big, more than likely you're just going down your gullet. And now you're just like Pinocchio inside the whale's stomach.
Yeah.
You're not getting chewed.
It's like a Nope, where you're just still alive.
You're just still alive. You're just sitting in there. You're like the Sarlacc pit. You're just going to
get dissolved slowly.
Yes, correct. Over 1,000 years. Well, I guess I'll have to wait this one out.
Yep. Now we have the Fun Island sequence. So this is where's the closest civilization? Some place that translates literally into Fun Island. So and it's the same woman with the dog that's still on vacation from the first movie. She's no longer on a boat. Now she's on the island, and this is where the Megs are heading, as well as the octopus.
Yeah, that actually threw me because there is a sequence with the guy and the girl on the boat, and he drops the wedding ring that he's proposing to her, and he stands up and like she's gone. I'm like, how did the shark get her? But then you realize it was the octopus.
Yeah.
But she says he drops it, and she's like, get it, you idiot. And I'm like, whoa, deal's off. Really? This guy's proposing to you and you refer to him as an idiot? Sorry. Yeah, you deserve to get eaten. Bye-bye.
But the octopus attacks Fun Island. The dinosaurs, which I mentioned before, that can now breathe air.
So
and
now we got
walk.
this velociraptor sequence where they're running through the tall grass and chasing down the heroes. And there's a helicopter sequence. So we got, literally a Jurassic Park, Nedry getting eaten by the Dilophosaurus in the Jeep.
And there is a nice scene where, as the Meg is approaching the tourists that are all in a shallow part of Fun Island, you see these two in a paddle boat, and they start to paddle faster to get away from it. Nope, doesn't help. The Meg chomps them down.
My favorite scene is the cam inside its mouth.
Oh,
so
yeah,
literally the jaws opened up, and you see all these people, and I'm like, all right, that's a fun shot.
Yep.
That's like a GoPro on this.
That was,
thing.
Again, that was like the Nope shot with the people inside the gullet of this thing.
Yeah. The most disgusting scene is that guy ripping into the fried chicken. I'm like, what are we watching here?
And you got the rights to play Barracuda in the trailer. Why not put it in the damn movie?
Right, because that would have at least elevated the fun sequence because it is mayhem. People are running or whatever. And of course, you got Jonas. He's on the ski-doo and he's out there with these poison darts. And you're like, all right, we're in now. Let's just watch this.
Yeah.
But yeah, that soundtrack would have been nice. It would have been it would have been like Thor Ragnarok
with Led Zeppelin, right?
Yes,
at the
correct.
end.
Yeah. Nothing. Everybody in Fun Island's now going to have fried calamari for dinner because the octopus gets.
But it's the good Meg that eats the octopus. So the good Meg, again, it's very ambiguous whether or not she knowingly saves her trainer and eats the octopus and saves him from, or
and he still has the
octopus is just in the right place at the right time.
He still got the clicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a nice, the apex predator Meg, Jonas actually manually kills that with the helicopter rotor. So he impales the inside of the mouth through the brain, you would suspect.
That's a long propeller.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is incredibly long. But again, Jaws 2 reference, he's whacking on the thing to draws its attention. I was waiting for it to get electrocuted, but
and also, of course, DJ says that in his survival kit, he's got a gun with poison tipped bullets, just like out of Jaws 2, he says.
Right. But again, like we said, it doesn't play into that movie at all, other than the sense that we see him dripping cyanide into these. They don't do anything.
But that's what he fight. Well, we'll talk about that when we get to Jaws 2. Yeah. So at the very end, it's a happy ending. Everybody's on the beach. DJ has a bevy of ladies surrounding him. And he's telling them the story of how he beat the Meg or whatever, but they're all behind him. He's not even facing them as he's telling them the story. So I'm like, who are you talking to, dude? The camera? Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Someone's filming him on Instagram right now.
So the movie ends with the supposedly, quote unquote, good Meg still out there. Oh, we'll worry about that later.
Yeah. Oh, she's a good girl.
Yeah. So I mentioned before this was based, the first one and this one were based on novels by Steve Alton, The Trench. And I have yet to read what he thinks of this new movie.
He's keeping a low profile. Well, apparently Statham was not happy with it.
Of this new one?
Yeah, it was not bloody enough for him. He's like, come on, man. We had fun with the first one.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they did manage to get a PG-13 with the first one. And there was lots of carnage. But again, I think it was because there was more Meg action in the first one than there was in this one.
Yeah, no, it's again, they're trying for this Jurassic Park creatures on the loose, lost, the I don't know. Jurassic World is more like it. The sharks, I hate to say it, but Sharknado's got more realistic looking sharks.
These really kind of look like Bruce from Finding Nemo. That's really where they went with this.
Yeah.
But Steve Alton, the author of the novel, said about the first one My feeling has always been that this is a $1 billion franchise if it was done right. But to be done right, you had to get the shark right, get the cast right, get the tone right.
Correct.
And Warner Brothers have nailed it completely.
Oh, on the first one.
On the first one.
He's talking about the first one.
Yes. And I would agree with him.
Yeah.
They did nail it.
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
So what happened with this one?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it the same director?
It is not.
Ben Wheatley.
Director Ben Wheatley. It had a $139 million budget, and it has made that back and then some. It's made in excess of $375 million thus far at the box office, doing phenomenal at the international box office. Even if it's just, kind of ho-hum in the States, it's doing well enough out there in the world that a third is almost guaranteed.
Okay.
But if you do a third, bring it back to the Megs. That's what you got to do. Or, even other monsters, I don't care. But just bring it to that like monster movie type feel that the first one was.
Yeah. Yeah. You never felt that anybody was in danger. The little girl's running around, she's not going to get eaten.
Of the reviews that I read on this after the fact, I never read a review beforehand, before I see a movie.
Right.
But RogerEbert.com, this guy, Brian Tallarico, and kind of mirrors what I thought about it, at least until the final half hour when he's finally free to unleash some monstrous chaos. This is one of the dullest films of the year. A plodding, poorly made giant shark movie that inexplicably lets the giant shark take a back seat to an evil underwater drilling operation.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that says it all right there.
I wouldn't say that it's poorly made. I think that's going a little bit too far. It's serviceable. The CGI is okay, but I will agree that it is plotting and that it is boring. I am sorry. I hate to say things like that.
I know, because we had high hopes. As soon as we saw this on our radar, we're like, oh, we are so in on this.
Yeah.
I'll double down on that. I said it before. It's humorless, it's bloodless, and it's toothless. It's too middle of the road. It's non-committal.
It's trying to be two things. I think it's two different movies. It's like an underwater action movie at the beginning, with the Megs just on the peripheral. And then suddenly they try in that final 45, 30 minutes to finally recapture some of what made that first movie magic. It's too little too late. Yeah.
Like I said, if this was on cable and you were flipping channels and you tuned in the first half hour, you wouldn't know which Jason Statham movie this was.
It's just Jason Statham underwater, right? And he's fighting some terrorist
guy. He's got a ski hat on. That must be
he's fighting this Montez guy. Oh, that's the bad guy there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. No.
How many buckets of chum would we give?
Chum buckets.
Yeah.
I have to give it 2.
I am gonna give it 2.25.
Oh, wow.
I did find, just
that
those.
Sounds very reluctant.
Some of those lines did hit, and I did chuckle. And there was some good Meg action once they got down to it. But yeah, the beginning was just too much of a plod. Out of 5, I always like to quantify that it's out of 5.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the beach concession stand and leave this Meg 2 far behind as quickly as possible. Let's run from the surf. And I am going to do something. I couldn't find much info on this, so this won't be a long one.
All right.
But I wanted to do the blue gummy shark.
The blue gummy shark?
Are you scratching your head?
I am seriously scratching my head right now.
Saying that you've never seen a gummy shark?
I'm going to secretly Google this. Blue gummy shark. I have no clue what
you have never seen a blue gummy shark.
I'm looking at them now. I do. All right, tell me the history of this, because I don't think I ever had these.
The blue gummy shark
kids.
is a blue translucent gummy with a white marshmallow base, so it looks like a great white shark.
So he's got like a little white belly.
Got 2 flavors. He's got a little white belly that's opaque, and then you've got the regular gummy texture of the top half of him, which is blue raspberry, and it is actual marshmallow flavor on the bottom. So I don't know. I can't tell you when the gummy shark came about. I can tell you that gummy bears were made in Germany in 1921, and since that debut, countless gummy things were also introduced to the market. The gummy bear was evolved from Turkish delights and initially were made to soothe sore throats.
Huh.
So it's kind of like that. Which cough drop is still available that has the that soft texture? Pine Brothers, I think.
Oh yeah.
That was always
That's
my
like-
favorite cough
Smells
drop.
like tar on the outside.
But that was the beginning of the gummy bear. But then, of course, it just changed over time into candy very quickly. A lot of different gummy product put out there, and at some point, I would like to think that maybe Jaws did it, but it probably was before Jaws. The gummy shark was introduced. And now this is not a product that has been copyrighted. So every
there's
company,
there's 1,000 companies.
a million companies make their own version of the gummy shark,
I see
including
there's a giant gummy shark.
yeah, there's one big gummy shark that you can buy.
Ah, that
That's
would be
too
horrific.
that's too much. That's too
It
much.
is.
But
Start
one of
with
our
the tail.
favorites, the Ferrara company puts out their own version of
Of
it.
course they would. Why not?
Of course, of course. There are actual gummy sharks in the ocean.
I know. I just saw that. That's crazy.
And
Teaching
they're
people to eat them.
these are bottom feeders, right? So they're like kind of flat, like very flat nosed, and they feed off the bottom of the ocean. And they are actually prized for their soft meat. And now this is kind of disgusting. Generic fish sticks are made from gummy shark meat.
Oh no!
So those fish sticks that you pick up in Walmart, that's from like a bottom feeding fish that you're feeding your kids if they still eat fish sticks. And I ate
of
fish
course.
sticks.
I probably have fish sticks in my freezer right now. From
Yeah.
Mr. Gordon, Mrs. Gordon, whoever she is.
Yeah, you're eating a bottom feeder right there.
I do remember years ago going to McDonald's and I had like a membership to WWF when it was the World Wildlife Federation, not the wrestling.
Well, it still is. They won a lawsuit.
They
with
did win a lawsuit.
Yeah.
But there was a whole article where fillet of fishes were basically seal meat.
Oh.
So I would go and I would treat myself to, and I would ask for a seal burger, and I get a big chuckle from myself. But that was about it. Still love those fillet of fish.
They just switch it over to gummy shark meat.
Run away, gummy sharks.
So the closest thing I could find to like a copyrighted version of the gummy shark was Shark Bites,
Shark bites.
made by Betty Crocker, introduced in 1988. I'll play you a commercial right now, actually.
Here comes the biggest, fiercest fruit shark of them all, the great white. Great white sharks with killer fruit taste. New in Shark Bites fruit snacks, you've got to eat them before they eat you.
Intense!
Especially now. Now you can collect glow-in-the-dark shark toys. One free in specially marked boxes of Shark Bites fruit snacks.
There you go, Shark Bites. So these aren't gummies, really. They're fruit snacks. But they are held near and dear to kids from that generation. Maybe I did in a roundabout way. They were shaped like different sharks. You got the hammerhead, you got a mako in there, you got a tiger shark, and they were all different colors. And then you had the great white, which was opaque and white completely was the great white. And then a little bit later, they introduced shark teeth into the baggies.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
And they all had their different flavors. And apparently, the great white, that white opaque one, was really held in high regard for fans of Shark Bites. And as Shark Bites evolved over the years, they just became more like generic gummy snacks. They took away the opaque white, great white, and shark teeth. So they lost their bite as well as the Meg franchise.
Everything's getting watered down.
Yeah. So these gummy sharks, the classic blue and white gummy shark, are of course at the most popular during the summer months and during Shark Week. That's when sales pick up. And if you look on top5best.com, they've got top fives of everything. If you look up blue gummy shark, the Albanese world's best blue gummy shark is the most popular.
Albanese.
So, Albanese, Albanese. So the general public has spoken, and that is the best gummy shark that's out.
Oh, okay. Why would you, like you said, they're all blue. Just make yours a different color. Why do you have to have
gray?
Just
That probably would be very unappealing, though. Like a gray gummy.
Well, you don't want red.
No, you don't.
Gray. Yeah, gray. I don't know. Yeah, what color would you make them, I guess?
You could actually.
I like the idea of the opaque ones. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So there you go. Gummy sharks
Gummy
at the
sharks.
concession stand
All right,
today.
there you go.
So let's go from the concession stand back into the theater. And I've again been waiting to talk about this since the beginning of this podcast. Jaws 2.
2.
Yeah.
No revenge, no 3D, just 2. I will tell you this, though, which is I grew up in freshwater lakes swimming. I hate the ocean. I do not like the ocean. These movies don't help. But
is it because of these movies that you don't like the ocean?
I just don't like the salt water. I don't like the way it feels on me. I don't like the taste that it gets in your eyes. And so anytime I see someone in the water, I have an extra layer of sympathy for them because I'm like, that sucks. That's your job right now. I know they're acting. I know they're getting paid, but it's like, keep me out of the ocean.
Jaws 2 was released in June of 1978.
Okay.
3 years on the heels of the original Jaws. And for many years, that was the top money-making movie in the world until Star Wars came and took the title from it. So for 2 years, it was the biggest movie ever, Jaws. So, of course, a sequel was in the works. During the first movie's release, Spielberg didn't want to be involved. At the time, he said that sequels were a carny trick, I think was his quote.
Well, I also think he didn't have the best experience on that movie.
No, because anything that you read about the making of the original Jaws is like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So,
speaking of which, I brought this up on the back end, but I'll bring it up now. There's an off-Broadway play right now called The Shark Is Not Working. And it is...
is it a musical?
I think it is, but it sounds like it's a comedy. But you have actors playing these characters, playing actors while filming this movie. So it is kind of a spoof on the whole filming and making of Jaws. So you
The
have
shark
actors dressed
is not working.
Oh, so you own the soundtrack. So yeah, that's it's interesting. It's out there. It's so in the zeitgeist that this making the original Jaws was an absolute nightmare. So I don't blame him. You know what? I did it. I survived it. I got some accolades. I'm moving on. I cut my teeth on that one and we'll never have to do it again. I don't think he ever filmed a single movie on the ocean afterwards.
But there were later interviews with Spielberg where he said something to the effect where he would have done the sequel had he been available. I don't know if
78
that really would have been true. Yeah, he was totally
Encounters.
I think he was still making Close Encounters when they were
well, if it was released in
Jaws
78,
2.
yeah, it had to have been
and so was Dreyfuss, by the way. And Dreyfuss,
that's right.
again, so he was wrapped up in Close Encounters, but I don't think it didn't sound like he wanted to get on the ocean again either. So
no, and they do dismiss his character pretty easily.
Yeah.
We made a phone call. He's in Antarctica.
Yep.
Antarctica. Yep. But I think that is a reference to the first movie, right? That he says something to the effect that he was pulled out of an expedition to come to Amity.
Right.
So this is one of the most famous taglines of any movie.
It is. It completely is. And it was sold on me, I'll tell you, as a 7-year-old.
I think it's been spoofed numerous times. But there's more than one because on my Blu-ray, there's a trailer and they use a different tagline. So the one I'm talking, the official tagline is just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, which is genius. Brilliant. The one in the trailer, one good bite deserves another. I'm like, not quite there.
Not quite there.
Not quite there.
Just when you thought it safe line, though, whoever came up with that in the ad agency got carried out on shoulders.
It's probably anonymous.
Yeah.
The guy came up with that. I could go out in the street right now and tell somebody I came up with that. They're like, really? Okay.
But to go back to the release of this, June 1978, I did not see this in the theater. Because I was 7 years old. I obviously didn't see the first Jaws in the theater, which you did. You saw it at the drive-in, right?
I saw it at the drive-in. Yeah. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
I was 4 when that came out. So I definitely wouldn't have seen the first Jaws in the theater. But Jaws 2, when it premiered on ABC in 1981, that was the sweet spot because I was 10 and I was ready for this.
Tonight's in 8-7 Central and Mountain. It's coming.
You better do something about this one, because I don't intend to go through that hell again. Over there! Hold on!
My son and husband are still out there.
Roy Scheider in the television premiere of Jaws 2. Tonight on ABC.
Tonight's special presentation of Jaws 2 is brought to you by Datsun, who would like to remind you that in every Datsun car and truck, the greatest economy of all is quality.
The first time I had seen a Jaws movie, I hadn't seen the first Jaws yet.
Oh, gotcha.
Jaws 2 was my
Yeah.
first indoctrination into the world
Yeah.
of Jaws. And it really freaked me out because it may, and like you, I don't like large bodies of water. I just don't, I don't contain it to the ocean. I don't like lakes. I don't
Okay.
like rivers. I feel uncomfortable going over bridges. And I think it all ties back to Jaws 2.
Listen, these movies traumatize everybody. But yeah, that's exactly where I saw it. 1981.
Yeah,
on
there's
ABC Movie of the Week, Sunday night movie.
absolutely.
And you know what's amazing? Think about it. I mean, now we have 70-inch televisions with surround sounds. I mean, my television, I watch it, and I watched it at my buddy Dennis's house, and it probably was a little 12-inch black and white.
Yeah.
And yet this movie has such an impact. Like it might as well have been a drive-in screen because you're glued to it. You know, especially those later scenes when the kids are on the little boats. And
I have to give another shout out to B. Harrison Smith here, because in his book, This Time It's Personal, A Monster Kid's History of Horror Memories and Experiences, which is a great book, by the way. I highly recommend it. And he also wrote The Making of the Last Dinosaur. He talks about Jaws 2 at length in this, because again, he was, I think he's around your age, Jeff. So he's a few years older than me, but he did go to see with his friend Jaws 2 in the theater, and he was obsessed with Jaws 2. He talks about getting the activity books, which they actually sold. I looked these up.
Wow.
I never had that myself, but there were Jaws 2 activity books marketed to kids. So there was coloring.
It's amazing,
pages and
right?
stuff.
That, you know, we talk about the Jaws game and there was models and others. Like, it's not a kid's movie. This is like Kenner had Alien that no kid ever owned because it was an R-rated movie.
But I owned it because I was obsessed with Alien, and I couldn't see the damn movie.
You had a cool dad.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, we got to get this for him.
Although he wasn't so cool that I would go out and see these movies as a kid.
No, but he
drew the line there.
Yeah.
I was heartbroken because they wouldn't take me to see the 76 King Kong in the theater. I had to wait till it was on HBO to see that.
Yeah.
So, but what they didn't know is that I was watching stuff like Tourist Trap and everything else on Saturday afternoon on Channel 9.
Yeah.
I had complete access to much worse than what was in King Kong.
Yeah. And then you subsequently expose it to me. Thanks.
Yeah. You're
Tourist
welcome.
Trap. Tourist Trap.
I wanted to bring up Harrison Smith because he talks about his friend being completely traumatized by Jaws 2, especially the scene. And I'm right there with him. Where Marge gets killed, which is the girl on the raft on the the floating garbage at the end.
Yep.
Who takes it upon herself to look after the little kid, who is Mike Brody's little brother, and she gets swallowed whole by the shark. And there's a scene where the shark is coming up from underneath the depths.
Her. Yeah.
And that is just such a nightmare image that it traumatized this kid in Harrison Smith's book. And it did the same to me as well.
Yeah, no, that's something you can't unsee.
Yeah.
And what's amazing, they waste no time in showing the shark.
No, they don't. And did you watch the bonus features that were on both the DVD and the Blu-ray?
No, I did not have a chance to.
Because he said that's the director.
Jeannot Schwark.
Jeannot Schwark.
Bless you.
Thank you. Straight up said, okay, they brilliantly hid the shark until the end, until like the big reveal during the chumming scene, right? He said he can't do that again. You can never recreate revealing the shark.
And that was never intentional, though.
That was never intentional, but that's what they ended up with.
Right. Yeah.
So he said, I had to go the opposite from that and just show the shark from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because
again,
audiences have already seen the shark at the end of Jaws. They already know what it looks like. So let's just
exactly
go
what we just pointed out with the Meg 2. Just give me shark action.
Yeah.
I already know what he's going to do.
Although as an adult, and I'm sure as a kid, you just are slogging through these Brody getting fired scenes and everything else, right?
But I
To get to
think,
the shark action.
I don't know. I mean, I've seen this numerous times, and he does whatever happened off screen and his issues with the director and the fact that he didn't want to do this, and they paid him like a ridiculous amount of money to come back. But watching this time, it's very evident that this guy is suffering from PTSD. He is unhinged. And as a grown adult man now, I'm like, this guy needs help. He shouldn't be a sheriff. He should, and it's like nobody remembers what happened in the previous movie but him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's like wiped from their memories. It's all the same actors and all the same characters that are on the town
mayor,
board.
how did he get revoted in? This guy is a piece of work. And it's like, I really, in this screening, I felt so bad for Brody when he was just like, when he gets fired and he's like, screw it, I'm going to start drinking. I'm like, damn straight you're going to start drinking. You better hand in that revolver because there's a good chance he's going on a killing spree. He was just, that fantastic speech when he goes into the council meeting, when he finally realized, because he's like, I'm telling you, it's a shark. Yeah. And then when he finally has the proof with the picture, which is kind of silly, but and they're just like, I'm not seeing, is it seaweed? I don't know what this is. He's like, are you crazy?
They don't want to see it
as
well because it's just a rehash.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're going to shut everything down again. No way.
Already upended my July 4th weekend or Memorial Day. Was it Memorial Day weekend? Last go around. But again, the opening shot, the opening scene, and the one thing I will say, I'm very impressed. John Williams gets top credit over the director because this soundtrack is fantastic. I mean, we talk all the time about the Jaws theme and the idea, him selling Spielberg on this idea that you're not seeing the shark, but these notes symbolize that the shark is here. And the quicker they go, the faster the shark is going. But some of this music is so fun and rollicking, and it's like, especially like the regatta scenes where the kids are all on a boat.
Yeah, because you
very uplifting, and it's like, these kids are going out in the water, they're going to have fun, and we all know they're going to die, but we're going to have fun.
But this is why this is a great example of a summer movie as well, because you have this adventure type score. So it gives you that, feeling of nostalgia, being on the beach with your family. Right. Yeah. And then it suddenly delves into the darkness. But to his credit, he doesn't rely on that Jaws theme too heavily here. No, because, but again, like you said, we've already seen it. We've already heard it. We know the shark's out there. We see the shark in the opening scenes with the two scuba divers finding the orca. And I will say this magic camera that just keeps flashing. I would have loved it again if there was a severed hand still attached to it as it floated down to the bottom, because we got severed limbs in the first one. Yes, we did.
Not really this one. Again, on the gore, they are pulling back a little bit.
Although you did get a burned corpse, so that was probably pushing that PG boundary.
That is your Gardner head popping out of the side of the boat moment in this movie. There's a couple nice callbacks to the first movie. The scene where they accidentally snag the power wire and the boat gets pulled back. I mean, that's very reminiscent of the shark taking the orca backwards.
Although would the power wire do that? Would the power wire actually pull that boat back? Although that was nice foreshadowing. It's these damn power wires that are all around here.
It's all laid out there. Yeah. Yeah. I guess if you're trawling and that thing, you're trying to pull it, and it's stuck, it's just you're retracting the wire. So it's just pulling the boat backwards toward where it's stuck.
Yeah, this is true.
I don't know, but it's a nice callback. It's just
pay attention to this, folks. This is going to come back later. So. And I love, and I can only think they did this on purpose. The dig at Jaws ripoffs with the dead killer whale on the beach.
Yeah, because Orca came out.
Orca came out the year before. I think it was 77.
77.
So this was enough time for them to see that Orca was out and say Orca's nothing compared to this great white shark.
Yeah, I looked it up. I can't imagine they used a real Orca carcass, but it does its job. It's pretty pretty substantial.
And, you know, of course, there's Orca, which we've never covered on this show.
No.
Which we
But
will.
again, there's another movie that traumatized me. Just not even the orca killing people, because that orca had every right to eat everybody it came in contact with. The scene where the baby pops out onto the deck at the beginning of that movie is so horrific. It is
Again, that was a PG. That was a PG, that movie.
They could have they got away with a lot more back then, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh?
But they also had heavy use of orcas or killer whales in Tentacles. And I just watched that this week, because it's on Amazon.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a
Yes, it
laundry
is.
list of all these other movies that came out after the success of Jaws. Tentacles, 77. I don't know.
So it opens with the shot of the two divers that are exploring the wreckage of the orca on the seafloor.
Yeah, because that kind of moves everything forward, where they report them missing and then they find a camera. And yet, even after they find a camera, no one decides to actually develop the film.
Oh, yeah, we got a camera here. Yeah, until, like an hour into the movie. Hey, maybe we should get that film developed.
It's a slow moving plot device. And then the guy who's developing the film calls Brody, but he really doesn't have anything until that very last shot, which he hasn't even developed yet.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, you need to get over here. And it's like, for what? Well, I don't know. I just wanted to see you. Just
wanted to say hi.
You bring a sandwich. Yeah. So it's halfway through the movie before they develop the camera, and there's that one shot of the shark, which maybe could be perceived. We know it's the shark.
Going back to the divers, you want these guys to get eaten, because probably the direction was do something that shows you're a jerk. Okay, I'm going to make muscles on the deck of the orca. I'm just going to defile this wreckage. And sure enough, thankfully,
people died there. Thank you.
The shark comes
but we
and eats
don't
them.
really have. I mean, I guess the kids are older. I'm trying to. It's maybe 3 years after.
Yeah, I think it's real time, right? That's probably what.
Give or take. But like I said, no one seems to remember this shark rampaging the entire sea.
Yeah, and nobody believed Brody then either. Yeah. So
he runs in, they're dedicating this new condo development.
Or was it a Holiday Inn that they were opening? I'm not really sure.
Right. Yeah.
But the high school band is playing downtown.
Yeah, Petula Clark. But then Brody hits on his wife to get out of there. And I turned to my first of all, he's late. So he's racing and he's running over potential tourists anyways, left and right, trying to get to this thing on time. And there was a parking spot right out front. I was like, you should be probably at the end of the parking lot. But anyways, so he hits on his wife, let's get out of here. And I turned to my wife and I said, oh, looks like the sheriff's looking to park his dinghy in her boathouse. And she just goes, you're an idiot.
Well, that was a line, not the dinghy in the boathouse, but wasn't that a line from the first movie? Do you want to get out of here and fool around or something? He said that to her in the first movie too. So like, same old Brody.
Yeah,
same old Brody. But they also,
this guy can relax.
Pretty much everybody in the cast is at this party as well. So you're reintroduced to Murray Hamilton and
still wearing the same jackets,
and the over-tanned woman that's on the town board, and she's there, and all the kids, including Keith Gordon from Christine.
I know, Arnie Cunningham.
Yeah. So they're all there too. So you meet them all at this party. So it's a way to kind of introduce the characters to you. And the kids are having their own dramas. Like the one nerdy kid that's Keith Gordon's friend is trying to get with the girl and da-da-da. So you get a little bit of a backstory of all these characters.
Yeah. Which is fine. We've already seen a bunch of old white men out chasing this thing.
And is this girl Tina supposed to be in high school? They just parade her around in front of all these old men in a bathing suit?
Yeah, in a bathing suit. At least it was a one piece and not a two piece. It was still the 70s, but there was some salacious lip licking going on there in the background. These old dirty old men. We got a lot of teen angst with this, and there's an ad-libbed line that I guess the actor was very upset, and he actually apologized to the girl for her. He says she has tits like a sparrow. Yeah,
the ad-libbed by that actor, which is one of the most memorable lines in the movie.
And then spent the next 40 years apologizing to her for it.
Because he says that to
I didn't write down any of the kids' names.
Jackie, Donna Wilkes, because she is big in genre circles for playing Angel. the avenging prostitute
Oh,
that
yes.
walked.
We watched those movies. We used to rent those on VHS.
Yeah, she was Angel. So she came back. Donna Wilkes.
Ramrod, was that the bad guy? Ramrod? Why did my parents let me watch that stupid movie? It's a prostitute with a heart of gold. Yeah.
But just in case you forgot about the shark, after this long dedication of the Holiday Inn scene, you hear the at night with Amity in the background. You see the fin break the water, and the whole shape of the shark is visible, like just under the water, and that's
nice,
like the nightmare.
Tracking, yeah, because it's tracking him. He's out there. He's back. Maybe that's where sharks go to vacation.
To Amity, maybe, maybe it is.
I heard the food's good there. Let's go. Yeah, but again, this is the score is just so whimsical. And what I heard or what I read was that production was behind schedule, and that he wrote half of the score without even seeing the movie.
Right.
So the fact that it even works, but there's this, then you cut to the next day in the parasailing scene where the guy is going up into the water and down, and he's just being dipped like a giant, and the camera's coming up. And you're like, oh, this guy is chum. He's just bait. But that's where the score teases you. They pull him up at the last second when you think the shark's actually going to get him.
Yeah. And you actually do see the shark flop around like on the surface of the water. So you know how close the guy came.
Right. But yeah, this is
but nobody sees it. Nobody sees it
of course
in the boat. Yeah.
Yeah. But this is where the score is really, he's creating magic from nothing. Fantastic. But then we cut to this old lady sitting at her house, and she's watching.
Yeah, and that's what she is skiing. In the credits. She's just old lady. Yeah,
old lady. But it's like, have you never seen someone water ski before? Like,
especially when you live on the beach,
right? You wouldn't even pay attention. But she was like, she was locked on these two girls.
Yeah, she didn't hear the screams when the driver of the boat was pouring the gasoline all over herself.
But I will tell you this is why when you water ski. Have you ever water skied, by the way?
No, I've never.
Okay. All right.
Because of this movie,
because
probably.
of this movie. I love the water ski. It's been years. I don't think my knees could handle it now. But you need a spotter. You can't just have one person driving a boat because she doesn't know if that girl's still hanging on. She's just blindly driving around the lake. This is fun. And meanwhile, that girl's chum back there. Poor, what was her name? Terry. Terry was out swimming with the fishes before she even realized.
Wait, and it's a great scene because, the shark has already been stymied because he couldn't get that parasailer. So then he decides to go after the water skier. And that shark is booking going after.
Yeah. This figured that boat's probably going at least 30, 40 miles an hour.
Yep. Yeah. You see the spray coming off that fin.
He's hungry.
And just kudos to the filmmakers because never giving an indication that shark, that fin is being dragged at high speeds, in just the right position to be chasing this boat.
Right. Well, I don't know if it's dragged or if they use the same technology as the first one, which is a tracking wheel underneath the ground.
They did use that, but in these scenes, when it was going high speed, you can't replicate that with a tracking wheel. That was being dragged by a boat. And especially,
well, that's weird because you're not getting the wake from the other boat.
Yeah, you're not. The director in the interviews on the bonus features was saying they had to be very careful to edit around that. And especially what's even more impressive, the shots from the front of the boat when you see the boat and the driver and the water skier and the fin.
The shark. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a boat, off camera that's dragging that shark. To keep up. It's just amazing when you think about everything that's involved.
Even knowing that it's fake, if I'm water skiing, I'm still unnerved. I'm like,
that's why I'm not water skiing, period.
Is this behind me? It's still behind me, right? When you dump and you're sitting in the middle of the water and, normally you lose your skis. So now you're just like, like the girl at the beginning of Jaws, you're just kind of like free swimming there, trying to get your skis back on.
And my wife was confused. She'd never seen this, by the way. And I was shocked.
Ever.
She had never, ever. She asked, is that Chief Brody's wife? Because they do, the woman that's driving the boat is dressed like Ellen Brody.
She does, yeah. I think that's just the way they dressed in the 70s.
That's not Ellen driving the boat. Or she would not be in Jaws 4 this time. It's personal.
Correct, right.
It doesn't end well for the driver.
Which is funny because there is a scene during the orca scene where the lady tells Brody straight up, sharks don't seek revenge. And I'm like, yeah, tell that to Michael Caine.
Yeah, right.
Like, yeah, I don't think so. I think we throw that out the window a couple movies later.
The shark takes out the water skier, and then he proceeds to take out the boat. And that's like, this is like the biggest reveal yet of the shark in this movie.
Yeah.
And they refer to it in the bonus features as he now turns to Scarface because
Scarface.
she tries to throw the gas can at it and dousing herself and the boat in gas. And then she picks up the flare gun, which explodes the boat. So the shark gets burned, and he's burned for, continuity wise, he is burned for the rest of the movie. Yeah.
He must have been up there for a while. I mean, I think it would take a bit to burn that much.
Well, he's persistent. I'll give him that. He was still trying to get at that woman. That
listen, he already ate the skier. You think he'd be full?
And so now we have Tina and Eddie on the beach, who was waving at so they were witness to the explosion, not the shark, but to the explosion, as was the old lady.
Yeah, we do.
So, and that's a big scene from the trailer as well, and the TV ads. Is Tina going, "Chief Brody, can we leave now?"
Right, correct.
But it's Tina that should have PTSD from this movie, because she not only sees the boat explode, she finds the eaten killer whale as well.
Yeah, 7.5 meters. This orca.
Yeah, and you also get the foreshadowing here when the expert, quote unquote, comes, and she is unwilling to believe that this is a shark that's killed this orca.
What does she think?
So we also get the nugget of information that they key in on sounds. Like, remember that, audience?
Yes,
sounds.
Correct. Yeah, we're laying the groundwork here. Yeah. Although I will tell you, I think, there's a fair amount of footage out there now that orcas tend to go after sharks more so than sharks going after orcas.
Well, we got Bruce here. This is not the normal
That is true.
shark.
He's not a normal one. And we never get any kind of like you get a lot of those aerial shots where you're getting the entire fish underneath the water. But you don't really get, it's not like, Brody ever says, "Oh, it's another 25 footer."
Right.
You're just left to guess that he's probably at least the same size as the other one. But at one point he's screaming at Ellen. He's like, "Everyone's a boat freak on here. What the hell? What's up with this place?" She goes, we live on an island, of course. And I will say, he's a pretty damn poor sheriff that is a sheriff on an island and doesn't know how to unhook a boat. I did have a note in here that the mayor has Lego hair, by the way. It just looks like he goes home at night and just takes it off.
But Murray Hamilton in this, and this is a very sad story, in the bonus features, that Murray Hamilton, the director got word that Murray Hamilton was leaving the set, and he didn't know why. Like, that he told somebody that he was leaving, and the director rushed over to the hotel that he was staying at, and this was, I think, when they were filming in Florida, and stopped him in the lobby, and he had his bags in his hands. And he's like, "Murray, where are you going?" Then he revealed that his wife was in the hospital and having a biopsy done, and that he wanted to be with his wife, and he made a mistake by, going and agreeing to the movie, and he should, he was guilty. No. The director stopped him and said, "Murray, what if I tell you this, that we film all your scenes in the next 2 days and then you can leave. Okay. We'll rearrange everything so to get you done and out of here." And he said, "Okay, I'll do that." And then the director, and the contemporary interview where he's looking back on this. So we did that. Murray left. His wife was fine. And then Murray died. And I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
He didn't even say how. I'm like,
and then Murray died.
They just left it at that. But you could tell when you look at when you look at Murray Hamilton in this movie, he looks like he hasn't slept. His hair is perfect. Yes, yeah. I'll give him that. But there's huge bags. He just looks tired. And I think that's not acting. And also, because when they showed this on ABC, obviously they added scenes to pad out the runtime.
Yeah, I want to ask you about this because I couldn't tell you.
Those scenes, they're on the DVD. Not cut back into the movie, but they're deleted scenes.
Yep.
So there's one scene of when Brody goes to the town hall with the pictures and they all go into the next room. They actually show them in the next room.
Okay.
And they take a vote of who wants to see Brody.
You don't see that right in this. All of a sudden you just find out he's fired when he gets home.
So Murray says, "Who wants to see Brody fired?" He's the only one that doesn't raise his hand. So there is a little bit of redemption for that character that you never get to see. Well, you did see it on ABC. But he is still a jerk. He doesn't believe Brody first when the orca washes up that a shark did it. And then he doesn't believe it when the pictures, but you never see him again. in the movie. So
Yeah, you're right,
he never like admits his wrongdoing like
Yep.
he does in the first movie.
Yeah.
You never see any of the characters admit their
Fool me
wrongdoing.
once. The scene where Brody finds the wreckage, the piece of board,
The
on the
driftwood,
shore,
yeah.
and the driftwood. Oh, this is such a jump scare moment because
It is,
even though
yeah.
I know what's coming, it is still well played.
And you know something is coming too, that the way that they build up to him getting out in the water, like you
Yeah, so he's
assume that the
rolling.
shark is going to get him,
Right. Correct. Yeah.
or going to
Now,
attack
so
him.
let me ask you that, which is, I don't remember it, because even though we have covered 4, does he eventually get eaten by the shark? A shark?
No.
Is that how they write off his character?
No, he dies of just like a heart attack, I think.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. This guy was completely stressed out in this movie.
And we
Okay.
assume that he got his job back as well. I think he did get his job back.
Okay.
So that was
And we do know in
established,
subsequent
and-
movies that was it Sean that becomes
Yes, his son takes over.
the younger one. So we got Michael, who's the teenager, and then Sean's the younger one. So yeah, that's pretty messed up. But then this is where, he starts lacing the bullets with cyanide, and
All he ever uses the gun for is to shoot into the bluefish.
right.
So he really
waste.
takes out some of those blue.
I know. But again, this plays into, here these knuckleheads are, the council are out walking these people around. They want to invest it in the town or whatever. And this guy's standing up, over, the shark tower. It's like, wouldn't you want this guy up there? Like, why are you like upset about this?
I know. I mean, this is just extra security, right? Because everybody knows that Amity is where they had the shark attack. So it would be totally
Right.
justified.
I would want someone up there 24/7.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did read that there was some kind of a subplot that was taken from the book and removed from the original movie, and they tried to shoehorn it in here again, where like the town was somehow indebted to the mafia. So that's why they were trying to get investors back into town, and that I don't know, the economy had tanked after the first movie because of the attacks, and they don't mention any of that. They gloss right over all that stuff, which is fine. I don't need to get mafia men involved.
No, that would be
save that
too
for
much.
Meg too.
Yeah, then we'd be really talking about let's get to the shark action. I would just want to talk about while he's up in the tower, that little girl. What is that man doing up there? She knows damn well because she explains what he's doing.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Just a troublemaker? This little kid?
But,
I've seen that in Florida. That's a shark tower. He's looking for sharks.
Then why do you ask? Yeah. So there's this whole scene where everyone's on the beach and they're enjoying themselves. And I'm like, this is just a big tease. All these big fat people on the beach for the shark. This is like an Arby's commercial.
I know. And that one, the one joke with the guy turning the camera around because he can't fit his wife into the frame.
It's like, well,
first he tells them to move closer together. I can't fit you. Then he has it like, lengthwise, and he turns it horizontal. Yeah.
But the close-up shot of the toes in the sand to me is another great callback to the severed hand on the beach.
Yeah.
Because at first you're like, what am I looking at? Oh no, it's another victim. You're like, just kid playing in the sand.
So then, we get the false alarm of the school of bluefish, and that really didn't look like a shark anyway. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. It was monstrous. But again, you start seeing monsters.
And some of these things, it's in my head as if for the longest time, I was confused as what movie these scenes took place in. As a younger kid, like, was it the first Jaws or Jaws 2 where he sees the bluefish and he's in the tower?
Oh, yeah.
And there's a few scenes like that in Jaws 2. But yeah, again, as a kid, I had no idea what he was doing with the poison bullets because he was hiding the stuff. And I thought when you saw the needle, like he was some kind of a drug addict and he was hiding his tools in the bathtub.
I do want to know. I do question what the drinking age limit is in Amity.
Yes, because all those kids are in the bar. They're in the bar.
They're all very young. And the one girl who I just referred to as Tatum O'Neal, she's jonesing on Mike there big time.
Yeah, she is. And
that was the cousin, right? That was the.
And that could very well be the same character of Angel in this movie. This is like, she was a bad girl. She was like, you always listen to your parents?
Yeah, exactly. Not always. I'm grounded.
No.
Oh, really? Oh, you're grounded. You want to go out on a boat with me? All right. Fine. Yes. But this is where I never caught this before. When Brody, after he gets fired, when he goes home And as
Yeah,
he's walking
I
into
know,
the house,
I know.
the yellow barrel is
Yeah.
the planter. And I'm like, that's a horrible reminder. Every time you just pat it, and you're like, oh, good, Quint. Actually, at the beginning of Meg 2, when he's on the cargo ship and there's a bunch of containers and they got all those barrels, they were blue. And I'm like, you could have made one yellow.
Yeah, I know.
You're already leading into Jaws 2. Why not?
He and Hooper did swim back on that plank with the two
That is
barrels on either
true.
side.
So did Hooper keep the other one?
Maybe
Hooper took
he's
the
got a
other one
planter
home.
in front of his house.
It just
too.
seems like a weird memento.
Yeah.
You know, mental scars are enough. Thank you. I don't need a yellow barrel to remind me of my adventures.
So Brody obviously is freaking out, and he's telling his son that he's grounded. He can't go out on the boat because there's definitely a shark back in the water. He doesn't tell his son that. He just, says that he's grounded. So of course the kid is going to want to disobey his father.
Well, that's also like the first movie where he was yelling at them to get out of the boat, and the wife is like, "What are you doing?" And then until she sees the picture of the shark coming up through the boat, and then she's like, "Get out of the water."
Mm-hmm. But
It's
if
like,
I
all right.
was that kid who was in the bay when the shark bit the guy's leg off in the first movie,
Yeah.
I'd never go back in the water again.
No, and I'd be telling all my friends, "You're idiots."
Yeah.
No, thank you. But is this when he was drunk? At one point, he says 4 years down to 2. 4 years? You've only been sheriff for 4 years?
Well,
So
yeah,
he's-
if it's real time, right?
Well, then he was only a sheriff for the year before Jaws happened.
Right.
I
guess
guess
so.
All right. I just thought that was okay.
The next morning, Mike sneaks off and tells his kid brother he can come with because the kid brother is threatening to wake up the parents.
He's blackmailing him.
Yeah.
We're gonna make noise.
Michael.
Yeah. I like the fact everyone sleeps with their door closed. It's like, what's that? What's going on behind there?
Well, they're the Brodies are always fooling around. They can't have the kids just
Apparently,
walking in.
yeah.
I hope they have a lock on there as well.
I don't know what's worse, the blocking shark or the kids.
No.
The shark does not like regattas.
No.
It does not like horny teenagers, and it sure as hell does not like that John Lennon hat. He is out. He's like, I got to put an end to your fun.
But before they get, out into the water, Mike goes to the dock with his little brother. What's the little kid's name, by the way? Sean. Mike and Sean go down to the dock. Marge raises her. Is that the girl's name that gets eaten? Is it Marge?
Yeah, let's go with that.
She raises her hand like, I'll take him. Like, what does she have, a mom complex already? You're always,
apparently.
Oh, I'll take him. I love kids.
Yeah, exactly.
So they go out. Their plan is to go to the lighthouse, which is, I guess, like on the end of the island, to get drunk. And then they get to the lighthouse, and no, I know a farther spot. Where were they going?
I don't know, but Brody,
there was nothing past the lighthouse. When they tell
Brody that they're going to the lighthouse, he's like, lighthouse? It's like, you don't even know there's a lighthouse on this island? Like,
where kids go to get drunk?
Really are a bad sheriff.
Yeah.
You probably deserve to not be employed anymore. Yeah, but this is where you get the nice, GoPro shot of the shark with the camera on its head as he's like barreling toward the.
That was, again, they did mention that shot in the bonus features. It was a guy literally on
sitting
saddle.
on top of it.
They had a saddle. And
there was no GoPro back then, right?
The cameraman got up on that saddle and he was riding that shark like a horse in the water.
It's a GoPro. Nice.
And I always forget this scene, and I forgot it again this viewing, the scene with the dive class where the guy gets the bends.
Yeah.
Because it's not really memorable because nobody gets eaten.
Right, correct. Yeah.
Because none of the other divers, like how many divers? It's like 10 divers in the water and none of them see the shark except that one guy. But he's like chasing a lobster that he can't quite catch. And then he runs right into Scarface, Jaws, under the water.
Again, he's 12 feet underwater and he gets the bends. Jason Statham, 25,000 feet. No bends.
But yeah, so all the divers survive. They all get up and he's like in a comatose state. And so he can't say anything. So he's no good as a witness. My son did watch the movie with us. So, I was bent on having him traumatized as much as I was as a kid. And he really enjoyed it.
It's now time for you to be indoctrinated.
But he jumped at because I knew they were coming. So
sure.
But he jumped at all the points where he should have jumped. And the biggest jump was when Jaws appeared, when this diver comes across him. So
yeah, because it is unexpected.
And also I picked up, do the Brodies have a maid? I guess they do. right? So this woman keeps coming over with groceries.
Is she the same lady who was buying groceries for the Goonies?
Maybe she was. Yeah.
Maybe she's got a service going.
Yeah. But so Tina and Eddie, they're just like the horn dogs of these kids.
That's what I said. This shark, Eddie's not even getting a first base here.
No. So they just like float away because Eddie's like making up some story like he can't get the sail to work. He just wants to drift away.
Hell yeah.
So he can have some time with
boat
Tina.
action.
And this scene, I think, also maybe second only to the where Marge gets swallowed, traumatized me. As you said, you get that overhead shot of like the form of the shark coming like just under the water towards the boat and then like hooking onto the boat and dragging it for a little while. And Eddie gets knocked in. So he's like defenseless.
Swim, Eddie.
So she sees the shark coming and Eddie has no chance.
You're right. And that's actually a more horrific scene when they finally find her cowering.
Yeah.
And she's just stammering, and then she spits out. She's like Shaggy. She's like, and I'm like, this poor girl's never getting over this.
Yeah.
One.
But that's another scene that stuck with me. Funny that you bring that up. Her cowering in the head of the boat, and Scheider doesn't even see her until he hears her. Because that's if I was in a rowboat and there wouldn't need to be a shark. I would be under there just like she was.
Yeah, no, that's more horrific than watching this thing swallow somebody.
Yeah.
Is just watching somebody else watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
Talk about, PTSD. The third movie could have been about her. Bring Tina back. So
Tina's revenge.
So after eating Eddie, because there's that horrific scene where Eddie gets pushed and thumps into the side of the boat before he goes down and rips off the wooden edge of the boat in his hand. Then you get again that second shot of the shark, from the point of view behind the fin of the guy riding the back of the shark, seeing the sailboats on the horizon and going towards the sailboats. Yeah.
Coming in. He's moving in.
Yeah.
Chaos ensues. He's got a smorgasbord waiting for him there.
It's Keith Gordon that helps the shark reveal itself to the kids here.
Now, is this his first movie?
It is.
Because I saw there's actually a little segment on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, of him, and he talks about how he had some like high school plays that he had done, and then some professional productions like on stage he had done, but this was his first movie. So he said that he was thrown in there with the rest of the cast, and they went through like a sailing boot camp. And during and he said at first it was fun, but it got boring because you just sail in circles, like trying to learn how to sail. And whenever the shark wouldn't work, which was often, they'd tell the cast, okay, go practice sailing.
Oh, let's go to the lighthouse, kids. I hope that, it definitely, they did a lot of rope tossing, so they must have gotten really good at that.
Yeah, they must have. Yeah. They could be in Indiana Jones movies with their rope tossing.
Lassos and sharks.
Yeah. But he said, of course, that there were some hookups on set between the kids. He wouldn't say who, but there were some hookups.
Wow, even after all these years, he's willing to take that one.
They asked him on the featurette whether or not he was scared to be in the water with the fake shark.
Yeah.
And he said that, we were on the ocean. He said, I was more scared of what could possibly be real and in the water than the fake shark.
Smart man.
And he said that he was scared of the fake shark, not because it looked like a shark, but just because it was like this 1-ton piece of equipment that was being dragged towards him.
That could have failed at any minute.
Exactly.
All right. Now the jaws are going to close around you, but we're going to stop at the last. No, hold on. Where's my agent?
So he's like reading the line from Captain Bligh as he's pumping his boat up, and then the shark hits him, and then like suddenly everybody's boat is overturned.
Yeah,
and
this is chaos.
Then Mike gets hit on the head, and he floats in the water. He's floating there with his life jacket on, and this is one of the most impressive shots. This is like right off the Universal Jaws ride when you see the shark coming right at camera as they pull Mike.
Yes.
Just in time off.
Yeah. So I'm going to stop you for 1 second, but only because I just saw this on Discover Channel yesterday. You ever watch that Secrets at the Museum? I think it's like Discover Channel or something like that.
I've heard of it.
And they find like weird, obscure things. Well, apparently the government had they needed to do something to deter shark attacks during boating accidents. And, the Indianapolis, a famous story that Quint tells in the first movie, these guys were just getting taken out left and right. So it was just a whole story where they invented this soap. It's like this bar of soap that was made from rotting shark flesh. And it was, they found that they could pour blood into the water and sharks would come, and then they would put the soap in the water, and it would slowly dissolve, and the smell of rotting shark flesh chased away the sharks. So these were packs that were put in the back of these life preservers to protect these guys, like a film, like a force field.
Really?
I never heard of anything, but they stopped it in like 1973. And I'm like, I guess shark attacks just didn't happen after 73, or do we come up with a new technology?
I don't know.
Like,
That
why,
sounds like,
if it worked, why would they not keep making
that's like Batman utility belt type stuff.
Right. Yeah, shark repellent, literally. And they call it shark chaser, I think is what they refer to it as.
What?
I'm sorry,
did they patent it and then you could buy it in the store?
I don't think you can buy it in the store, but it's like, right, why would this stuff not, if it worked? But I guess it smelled rancid because it's, it was made from rotting shark flesh. Maybe they couldn't keep making it from rotting.
Well, they did the same thing on Walking Dead. You cover yourself in zombie guts. And
that is true.
Yeah.
How quickly they abandoned that idea, by the way.
Right.
It worked. Why not use it again? So anyways, I'm sorry. I digress. That was just something that I came across yesterday, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
But after that, like the money shot of this movie, when the shark narrowly avoids eating Mike on the side of that boat, because their boat still works. They say, oh, yeah, we'll leave you guys here.
Why couldn't they all fit on this boat?
I know. I'm like,
the Sea Witch.
They had room for at least 3 more in that boat.
Easily.
Yeah, at least. At least take the kid with you.
Right, correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're going to leave him here. The sheriff's son, youngest one.
Yep.
We'll take the other one. And then they're all like sitting there, and the girl's like, you want to play charades? I'm like, charades? Really? Yeah, no, I'm going to sit really still right now and cry.
Yeah. So this is where Brody calls in the chopper.
I watched this with Skylar, and they had never seen this movie. And when the chopper came in, they're going to rescue. Wait a minute. Are you going to tell me he's going to take out that chopper? And I just looked and smiled. Yes. And that scene does not disappoint.
It does not. And first of all, it's Abe Lincoln that's flying this chopper.
I thought it was Gary Kurtz, the producer of Star Wars, because he had one of those Amish beards.
Apparently,
that was a good look.
Apparently, this guy was the actual chopper pilot that they hired to fly the helicopter in the scene in the movie. Right. So they put him in the movie as the actor flying it. Yeah. And there is inexplicably, they cut this, but one of the padded out scenes that they used on ABC and was on the Blu-ray was the helicopter upside down underwater getting further attacked by the shark. So the guy is like in the bubble trying to get out, and the shark is breaking the bubble. Yeah.
I will say in the first movie, because Ron Taylor, the husband and wife, they're very famous shark. Ron
and Valerie.
Valerie. Yeah. And they did all the live footage that was intercut, like the shark in the cage, rolling around, all that stuff. And there's interspersed scenes here of a live shark, but it doesn't work as well. Like, it just doesn't look like it's
like the same shark that were.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I guess it was all just footage that they shot for the first movie and never used. But yeah, that helicopter scene is probably one of the highlights in this movie.
Yeah, definitely. Because then, of course, the rotors fly everywhere, which is great, and further rips up all the boats.
Yeah. So again, Meg 2, nice reference with the helicopter there and the blade. Yeah, it's just tearing up the sails.
But that's also, what's coming, but you're steeling yourself for the shark to jump out of the water at that helicopter as it's slowly rising. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Great scene.
Yeah, it is. And that's such
because these kids are like, we're saved. No, you're not.
Yeah, and it is, and you could tell when that thing is floating in the water. It's such like a flimsy small helicopter that it's completely plausible that this shark could take this thing out.
Yeah, because I think the pontoons are like inflatable. I don't know if they were. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. But this is like at least this shark, even though he's monstrous size, it's still, to me, it's scarier than a giant megalodon that just come up and devour the entire helicopter in one bite.
Yeah.
You know, this thing is closer to my side. That's like, you know, I hate monster movies like Frankenstein and stuff like that, where they're too close to my size. Give me a Godzilla.
Yeah, I think going right down that path with you, I think that's why I find this movie more effective / disturbing than the first one, because these kids are like on almost water level with this thing.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely.
Well, you know, for most of Jaws at the end in the Orca, you're protected by the boat, you know, until the very end.
Yeah, until that
But
end.
these kids are like floating on water level. They're eye to eye with this shark. So that makes it even more scary.
And when this thing goes through that canvas, it goes through the catamaran, that's nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah.
That is like,
that's a great shot too, because that's like almost the poster.
yes,
right? Because
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So after the helicopter gets eaten by Jaws, their last resort before Ireland, the one kid that looks like Todd Rundgren says, their last resort is Cable Junction. Even though this little makeshift island gets covered by the tide at some point during the day, that's
a high tide, because that's a pretty substantial island.
But that island was not an island. That was a barge. That didn't exist.
Yeah, it's a prop.
That's a prop. And I guess there was, you know, it was anchored, right? So it wouldn't move. But I guess one night there was such a bad storm during filming that it broke its chains and was floating towards Cuba. So they had to actually go rescue it and bring it back.
Where's my prop? It's floating toward Cuba.
Yeah.
On its way to Cuba. Comes back with a bunch of refugees on it.
So yeah, the Cable Junction sequence is where Brody finally catches up to the kids. But not before Marge gets it. Oh, this is terrible again. When everybody gets knocked in.
How does this kid grow up to be a well-adjusted child?
I know. And so Marge jumps in, because it would have been Sean that got eaten. Yeah. Marge jumps in to save him, puts him back up on the boat. And as she's climbing up, that's when you get that nightmare scene of the shark just coming up from the bottom and swallowing her. And that was like a perspective shot. Obviously, they didn't put the actress in the mouth, but
still, it's just the idea that is like, as a kid, even though swimming in a freshwater lake, which you can't see more than a foot in front of you. So whether you got your eyes open or your eyes closed, that's what you envision, is just these teeth coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you try not to freak yourself out, but it happens.
So she's the only Eddie as well. I was going to say that she was the only one of the kids that gets eaten, but Eddie got eaten as well. So there was only 2 casualties in the end. So it makes my memory, there were more, but
right.
I guess not. But Brody shows up and promptly runs his boat into Cable Junction.
Again, this guy's a bubbly. I think he's still drunk from the day before.
And then there's this convoluted thing. He's like, I'm going to throw the hooks over, and then you winch the hooks, and then you bring back the hooks. I'm like, what are you saying? I wouldn't not follow what he was telling me to do.
Yeah. What?
Regardless, that was just a device to get the hooks to hook onto the power line again.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
Just in case you forgot, kids.
Yeah.
But again, that's a great, his back's to it as it hooks up. He's ready to do whatever it takes. And also, and he just turns around and he looks at that pole and he's just like, That's Cable Junction. That is where you're getting your energy from.
Yeah.
Right? The energy's got to be coming from it, not to it. Like, what was the point of it?
Because Hendricks says earlier that, put that down or there's going to be a blackout, on Amity.
But that doesn't make any sense. If high tide takes it underwater, you don't want I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
we're already
power
thinking
box or whatever. Yeah.
We've already torn it apart.
But there's the iconic, once Brody realizes what he has to do, like he inflates the emergency raft and he gets out there down right again on the water level.
But they said now you're at this level, you're at the level of this damn monster.
Yep.
That is just, and he just takes the oar and he just starts whacking it. Because there you go. Oh yeah, they're attracted to sound.
Yep. And right. I remember being over my friend's house the following Saturday. When I think this may have played on the Sunday night movie, and maybe the following weekend, because I think it was during the summer. I'm not quite sure. But regardless, we were in my friend's backyard and we were reenacting that scene where hitting the pad. I think he had the clothesline out. And we were reenacting the
Charades.
scene. I
What am
remember
I?
that
Jaws 2.
specifically, talking about Jaws 2 after its ABC showing.
Wow.
But yeah, so Brody's out there whacking the paddle, and it takes a few tries to get the shark's attention. Finally comes,
Ah.
bites down.
He doesn't quite get the smile you son of a bitch moment. But he does
He says, "Come on, you big bastard," or something to
something
that
like
effect.
that.
Yeah,
That's fine. That's a worthy follow-up. Yeah.
but you see like the lightning strike, come out. It was pretty. It's a pretty
eyes,
good.
When the eyes are on fire, the eyes basically ignite. What movie did we watch where they used this scene? Was it one of those bear movies? There was a movie we watched, and it was like one of these Jaws ripoffs where they actually stole this scene. Oh man, I'm gonna draw a blank.
Oh yeah, because in Grizzly they blew it up. It wasn't like a burning bear, right? They rocket launched it. Yeah, I don't know. That's
I don't remember. Okay,
but regardless, this ending is what they use as the finale in the Universal Orlando Jaws ride, because the very end of the Jaws ride, the boat pulls up to like a fake dock, and your cruise director, the pilot of the boat, who's been narrating this the whole time. Oh, I think we got him, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're finally in the clear. And suddenly you see the fin coming right at the boat, and the shark comes out of the water, and right before he hits the boat, he bites the cable. And
I don't remember that. I do remember. I went to the one in California, and my leg was scalded by some steam that was released on the side. I think the shark came by.
Yeah, the shark. It wasn't. In California, they never had its own dedicated ride. It's just part of the Universal tour.
Oh, that's okay. There you go. Yeah.
But this was like a whole, like almost like the Jungle Cruise Jaws ride, where
kids, the backside of shark.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
In the Universal ride, after he bites down on the power cable, he sinks into the water, and then there's a jump scare where the burn shark comes up and then comes back down again.
Was it a completely different shark? I had to have been.
Yeah, it was. It was a completely different shark. But
no, he goes down. Yeah, he's down for the count on this one.
Brody rescues Sean and Angel, who is looking forward to a life of prostitution after leaving Amity. But
you just survived a shark attack. Where are you going now?
But again, I am not taking anything away from the first Jaws.
Oh, you can't.
That is one of the pillars of cinema, right?
Correct. Yeah.
But this just hits it more for me personally than that movie does.
It's a very worthy sequel.
It is. And I think the other sequels that came after this, like, they just became jokes of themselves, especially when you get to Jaws: The Revenge. That I think in the zeitgeist, in the general public's eyes, like, all Jaws sequels get slagged off. But I think that people should take a look at this one again. I think if they just ended the series, and they never would, I know that this is an unreal prospect, but if they just ended it with Jaws 2, I think those two as bookends would be held in higher regard.
Well,
I think it would be held in higher regard.
This one was successful, that they went on to make a 3 and a 4.
Oh yeah, this one it only cost unbelievably $20 million to make.
400,000 of that went to Scheider. Which was 4 times what he made on the first one.
Now, Universal almost had him. Universal was as bad as Sean here, blackmailing Mike, because Scheider, for whatever reason, and I didn't look further into this, but he was having difficulty on the set of Deer Hunter because he was originally cast in that movie.
Yeah.
So he was having artistic differences with that crew. Left Deer Hunter, and so he was in violation of his contract deal with Universal. So they said that they would forget it. He'd be given amnesty, right, if he did Jaws 2. So he agreed.
That's a deal. It's a character you've already played before. You know what you're in for. Well, maybe he didn't know what he was in for, since he had such a issue with the director.
Right, but he had an issue with what was his name?
Chenois Schwark.
Schwark here.
He just spent the whole time going, how do you pronounce your last name?
Yep, just call him Shark. Shark.
Yes, we're gonna hire you because your name sounds like Shark.
But yeah, it was a huge hit. $20 million to make, $208 million it made at the box office. So only a quarter of what the original made, but still.
You can't, again, like you said, that ushered in the whole summer blockbuster, and you can't, why not capitalize on that?
And so the producers of this movie, Richard Zanuck, Skeletor,
Zanuck and Brown, baby. The team that keeps on giving.
So they had an idea right away for a third movie. So Brown said that their idea for a title was Jaws 3, People Nothing. And that it would have been
chalkboard with the shark, like thumbs up, like
and it would have been like a Mel Brooks style spoof of Jaws.
No way. Oh yeah, you got to figure they jumped right into Airplane.
Yeah,
right? Didn't they produce Airplane?
I think they did. I think they
80
did.
or 81. So yeah, you're coming. So they were already thinking of that. That might have reinvigorated the entire franchise.
But Universal did not like that idea. They said they were fouling the nest by doing that.
Yeah, don't be.
And I think that they have a point. I think that they have a point. They ended up doing it themselves with the other subsequent movies anyway. But they were afraid that it would lessen somehow the other two movies if they came out with a spoof.
Yeah, I guess Howard Sackler came up with a script, but it was basically like a prequel based on the Indianapolis scene. And
that would have been the movie. That would have been his idea for the entire movie. But they thought again that would have taken it too far from what audiences were used to seeing. It would have been completely different.
Well, yeah, now it just becomes a horror on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And again, you already know the story just from what, I don't think you can really expand on what Quint tells you in that first movie.
Yeah,
that's right. Horrific. It's horrific enough as it is. So yeah, this Jaws unleashed quite a onslaught of copycat ripoffs. You already mentioned Tentacles and Orca.
Right. Yeah.
Piranha.
There's like countless Italian shark movies that came out in the late 70s, early 80s. But yeah, this was a PG movie. And I remember vividly the Topps baseball card series.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I used to get these cards for movies that I wasn't allowed to see, just to give myself a flavor, because you had no access to it if you couldn't see it in the theater.
Yep.
And then you had to wait, unless you had HBO, then you'd have to wait like a year to see it.
And if you didn't have HBO, you had to
wait till it was on TV. You had to wait till it was on TV.
Yeah.
Well, which was the case with me with Jaws too.
Yeah, I mentioned a story. I do remember going to a friend's house when Jaws dropped on HBO. And watching it.
Just like the Star Wars sets. You wanted to go out there, keep buying those cards so you could get the whole set.
Yeah, you're right, though. Outside of the Topps trading cards, like the comic adaptations. And there was a comic adaptation of this as well. Marvel Comics had Jaws too.
I had that. That was another way for me to figure out what the plot of it was. And then, of course, you had your movie tie-in novels as well.
Yeah.
And I had Jaws too.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing with Alien. Topps had an Alien baseball card line. And that was the way I collected all of those.
Yeah. Because usually it was at least in sequential order. Usually you had character cards up front and then somewhat of a storyline that you could follow.
On the back. And some of the cards had like pictures so you could piece them together like a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah.
But how many packs did you have to buy to actually get a full set?
I know. And then you would throw out all those extra cards.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Got that one. Got that one. Oh, don't have that one.
Maybe you had a friend who also collected them and you could, in the back of the bus, trade.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. And we didn't care about condition. You just wanted the card.
Exactly.
About the corners.
Yeah.
Now it's all about condition. Forget it.
Oh, and you'd chew that gum as soon as you open up that pack.
You still have your Star Wars cards?
I do. I have every single Topps set up in the attic. I've got them all.
Wow, you might want to take those out.
They're all loose because they were all in one box, but over time those rubber bands deteriorate.
Oh,
so now they're all like
take them off rubber bands. You got to put them in some. All right, we're gonna get together and we're gonna archive your stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
The first Luke Skywalker, where he's in the I think it's $1 card, where he's in the Stormtrooper costume, is considered his rookie card, and depending on the condition, you're talking $60-$70 card. A lot of people will send them in to get them graded. Full sets, you got the stickers. Stickers, we all use it. No one ever saved the stickers.
No,
so we always
I don't.
used them. Where we stuck them?
I
still
stuck them
have
on my wall, on my bedroom wall. I'd stick them.
I still have a binder from 5th grade, Mrs. Bacalis's English class that has all of my Star Wars stickers on it.
Oh man.
Because apparently I don't throw anything away, as my wife points out.
Yeah, those stickers got stuck immediately. I never kept any of the stickers.
What was the point? What was the point of having them? I got cards. I got stickers.
And you'd never think as a kid that these things would be worth anything ever.
No. Yeah. I have a full set graded of the still in the wax pack. That I've
Star Wars?
Of the entire series 1 through 5 plus the 3 empires. So just stupid things I collected. I bought off eBay years ago. $1 here, $1 there. Those wax packs are probably a couple $100 a piece. 18, Morgan Mindy, you name it. They made a card series for it.
So they had one for Jaws 2, and talking about merchandising, we've already discussed the Jaws game.
Yep.
Made by Ideal, where you fish like little, spare tires and cans out of the shark's mouth until it snaps shut. And if you get snapped on, then you're the loser. But that still was in production, like years after Jaws. And I think I got mine after Jaws 2 came out. But of course, don't have that anymore, unfortunately. And as I mentioned, there were activity books, and Harrison Smith talks about them in his book. And I went online just to look at what he was talking about. And yeah, it's, got crossword puzzles, coloring pages, of drawings from the movie. But yeah, just funny how they would market these things.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Look, mommy, I colored in the severed leg.
Yeah. And they knew that there was an audience for this. All those kids that could not see the movie in theaters, like Marvel knew what they were doing with these. And Topps knew what they were doing.
3/4 of those movies we've talked about, I read the comic series long before I ever saw the movie.
Yeah. So Jaws 2, this, again, I hold this in high regard. If we're going to give buckets of chum to Jaws 2, I would go 4.25, I think, out of 5 buckets.
Okay. I'll go 4.
So this, again, we've mentioned this, but this only leaves one Jaws movie that we have not covered on this show, which is surprising. Third entry.
Yeah. Do you know that Jaws, our review of Jaws was episode 73?
That long ago? Really?
It was over 200 episodes ago. Not that we're counting, but yeah.
Wow.
And that was a 5 bucket.
Of course. It deserves every bucket.
Yeah. Probably
that we can throw at extras. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess at some point we're gonna have to cover 3, huh? Maybe when Meg 3 comes out.
Yes, yeah, that'll be a nice opportunity for us to do that, and we're gonna have to do Orca one of these days, and maybe Tentacles.
Orca, I am up there with Orca because that loomed large on the back of comic books.
Oh yeah, it did.
The 77, 78 window of comics always had that big ad for Orca on the back.
Yes, it did.
Where he was monstrous. He looked like he was bigger than Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Not quite that big in the movie, but
I remember.
I still don't think I'd be afraid if I was in the water with an orca.
Oh,
I don't think that they. Well, I say that now. Don't throw me in the water. Like, you said you weren't gonna be afraid. Get me out of there. I don't think. Well, I guess we'll have to talk about it when we cover Orca.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been many killer whale attacks. I think they got a misnomer. Killer whales.
I think there's more attacks.
Just call them killer sharks.
There's probably more attacks in SeaWorld than there are in the ocean.
Well, you keep me in a cage, eventually I'm going to bite you.
There's also piranha. We've never covered the original piranha or the James Cameron Piranha 2, The Spawning.
Yeah, I would like to cover them. Yeah. Is that Roger Corman Piranha? Or is that 2? I know
2 definitely, but it could be. I think Piranha 1 is Roger Corman as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there you have it. Meg 2, Jaws 2. So what else did we do this week?
I want to bring up Ahsoka. I don't know if you've been watching it.
I have. Are you all caught up?
I am caught up. I'm up to the 4th episode. I don't want to talk too much about it other than to mention it because I really do like these characters. I feel the problem is in Christina brings this up all the time, which is the fact you're getting so deep into the lore now that unless you watch Clone Wars and Rebels, you probably have no clue who half these characters are.
No, and I haven't watched those shows.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I guess you can watch it on, a surface level and just take it, but there's so much more going on. Dave Filoni, who was key creating Rebels and Clone Wars, this really is season 5 of Rebels, or whatever the last season was. It's just a continuation, but those were cartoons, so it's kind of hard to wrap. It took me a couple, at least 2 episodes to kind of get comfortable with these characters being live action.
Okay.
So, but I really like where they're going with it. I don't know how many episodes are in here, but I feel like we're just setting things up for yet another series down there. I don't feel there's going to be any kind of resolution. We keep getting Grand Admiral Thrawn thrown in our face. So if you have never read, did you read the Heir to the Empire?
I don't think I ever did.
90s?
No, I'm very familiar with those books, but I've never read them.
Yeah, going back to the 90s where there was nothing in Star Wars. Like it just, after Return of the Jedi, the comic book ceased, toys stopped production. There was nothing new until those Heir to the Empire books came out, Timothy Zahn, in the 90s. And that kind of reinvigorated everything. And all of a sudden it was all Star Wars all the time. And Ballantine Books was publishing a book a week, it seemed. And Lucasfilm had continuity editors to make sure that this all tied together. And, Dark Horse got the rights to the comics and they were creating characters. They were branching off characters from the novel. And then when Disney acquired it, they're like, none of that stuff exists anymore. That's all what we consider expanded universe. And Filoni and Favreau stepped in and said, well, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that was created. So they started picking and choosing some of this stuff. But I will say, for us who kind of suffered through the prequels, a whole new generation that appreciates and loves those as their Star Wars. And this is becoming a love letter to that Anakin and Obi-Wan and all those characters that we had to kind of sit through.
Right. Now, as somebody that's not as familiar with these characters, meaning Ahsoka and the immediate characters around her on this show, I think that that's a benefit to me because I don't have anything to compare it to.
You don't have the lore to.
Exactly.
I think they've done a pretty good job of just establishing that Thrawn is a threat. You see that the remnants of the Empire are looking for this guy to come back, that we need this guy to lead us. And this is going to be, you go into the sequels with the rise of the New Order. And this is kind of what they're filling in that hole between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm.
And you already see that some of the new rebellion or the new whatever they want to call themselves now, don't necessarily know what they're doing. But yeah, I guess you don't need to know every little detail about Thrawn to realize that he is the big bad guy and that Ezra was Hera's friend. He was part of Rebels and that he basically has disappeared and we need to find him. We'll find Thrawn. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like it. We'll see where they go with it.
Yeah. And like I said before, I watched Tentacles this week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
so you were all in on the sea theme, huh?
So this was an Italian movie that had some American actors. Reading some background about the movie, apparently they did make a full-size octopus as a prop, which promptly sunk to the bottom of the ocean when they tried to put it in the water. The only thing they could salvage from it, I guess divers went down to try to get it and they couldn't because it was waterlogged.
Oh my gosh.
They managed to pull some tentacles off of it. The only thing you see is full size. And talk about the shots in Jaws 2 of the guy on the saddle riding the shark.
Yeah.
They did make like an octopus head that they showed that it's kind of like that shot from Jaws 2. Whenever it's coming at somebody, it's like you see the octopus head above the surface of the water. But mostly the shots are of a real octopus, like a la alligator.
Yeah.
with miniature sets, but they can't, how we were talking about how an alligator looks proportionately perfect, so they can
Yeah.
get away with it in that.
Not so much an octopus.
Not so much an octopus. Yeah, you could
look,
tell
it's a
it's a
baby
very
octopus.
small thing.
Aw.
Yeah.
Now, what platform did you watch this on?
It was on Amazon, but it was on that free view on Amazon.
Freeview.
Yeah, so
okay.
it's with commercials.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds like streaming's all going that way now. We're
Yeah.
right back to cable.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yep. So,
But it was fun. It was a fun because at the very end, the hero works at like a SeaWorld type research facility, and he's trained 2 killer whales. So he lets loose the 2 killer whales against the octopus.
Go. Yeah, you get one tentacle, I'll get the other.
And the way that they filmed it, because the way that they filmed it is they bought a dead octopus from a seafood.
Oh no!
It was already dead, so they didn't kill it.
No, right.
And they had killer whale hand puppets that they used to bite the octopus.
I was gonna say you can't use real size killer whales.
No. So it's like basically
OMG.
puppets eating a dead octopus. That's that was the climax.
I had to check this out now.
It's funny. It is funny.
Oh man. Very good.
All right. So this one was fun, right?
It was fun. And I will tell you, I had a couple shark jokes and I kept them to myself today.
Oh no.
Yeah. I said, all right, I'm not gonna just shoehorn this in. I'm not gonna be that guy today.
So next week, actually, it's not next week. We're going on a bi-weekly schedule.
Yep. Yeah. So take that. We're
All you
closing in
people-
on our 300th episode.
Yeah, we are. So we're just dragging that out so we can keep the suspense going to our 300th episode.
Well, not only the suspense, it does get much, and I tell you, I go to work and I got one of my buddies, and the first thing he said, "So what's coming out this week? What's new?" I don't know. I didn't pay attention this week.
Yeah.
I get something to go to guy now.
We're catching up with another movie that we missed in theaters. That came out in August, but it's already on streaming, just like the Meg 2 is now.
Yep.
The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which
Scary.
is basically...
Well, we're basically getting into Halloween season now. I'll tell you what. Yeah, we were in the mall yesterday, and Spirit of Halloween is already up and running. Hallmark's got all their Halloween stuff out, so we might as well just join them.
Yeah, we should.
Let's get right into the scary stuff.
September 1st starts the Halloween season, I think.
I got a couple customers who actually have those giant 18-foot skeletons already out.
Really?
Some people don't even put them away.
Good for
Some
them.
people just put the Easter basket in his hand and off they go.
So we're watching Last Voyage of the Demeter, and along with it, another one of our that's been on our wish list for quite some time.
This ought to be quite interesting. I have not seen this since the theatrical run.
Really? So you don't own it? You don't own it?
No, I do not. 92?
92. Yes,
Ooh,
I saw this.
That.
I saw this 3 times in the theater.
What?
I liked it so much. I went back again and again.
Oh man!
and again.
All right. I hope I can watch this and not pick it apart like we just did with Meg 2. Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder.
Yeah. Well,
Francis Ford
I'll
Coppola
give you.
directed?
I'll
Right.
give you Keanu Reeves because this is probably one of the worst British accents ever committed to film.
Jonathan Harker.
Jonathan Harker. So we are
Bram-
covering Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Dracula, which he does. I think that is one good thing that Gary Oldman doesn't get into that. He doesn't go Bela Lugosi on us, does he?
Oh, he does. He does have a great accent in this.
Yeah,
he
but
does.
I don't think it's quite that. Yeah,
Not quite
All right.
Bella, but he does have his own.
There's a couple scenes that stick out to, and again, we talk about comic book adaptations, and I think that Topps had their own comic line, and they did have an adaptation of this because I think Mike Mignola of Hellboy fame illustrated it, at least the covers.
Talk about visuals with this movie, though.
Yeah,
this is just a beauty.
All right, I'm
Something
hoping,
to
I'm hoping my
behold.
library has Blu-ray.
I have the Blu-ray. I don't think I've ever watched the Blu-ray since I've purchased it. I just had to fill out my collection of some movies
Gotcha.
that needed to be like the highest quality possible, and this will give me a chance to.
Yeah,
open it
well,
up
the
and
minute you
watch
buy
it.
a Blu-ray, they come out with a 4K.
Yeah, exactly.
You can buy the 4K, and then it's 8K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, that's 2 weeks
All
from
right.
now. So
2 weeks from now. That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Go hit the back catalog. We got a ton of movies in there. Go listen to
Exactly.
Jaws, episode 73. Actually, looked it
Yeah.
up.
Or
So-
if you're really desperate, go back to Jaws: The Revenge, whatever episode that was that we covered.
That I think we did that with the original Meg.
No, we didn't
No.
do it with the original Meg. I'm gonna have to look now. What did we do that with? We covered that with Nobody, which was the
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a weird.
no. The reason being is because Nobody was a revenge movie.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
See where
Sometimes
we were going with
You
that?
got to remind me why we chose some of that.
That was the Bob Odenkirk
Yes.
action spectacular.
I
Nobody.
still get people coming up to me and be like, "Hey, did you watch it?" My son recently, Dad, did you see this movie? Yeah, I saw that movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It was amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that was a lot of fun. And I think we actually had a lot of fun discussing that Jaws: The Revenge.
Yes, we did. So if you
Yeah.
want to go listen to that one, it's episode 174, which was seems like a
Damn.
really long time ago as
Yeah.
well.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, it was. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yes,
as
thank you as always. And we'll be back in 2 weeks.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and then share it with your fellow movie nerd friends. It means the world to us and helps our listenership grow.
You can also find us on all of the socials, Instagram and Twitter at TMI_podcast 2018. We're on Facebook and YouTube as well. Just look for the Popcorn Bucket.
You can help support this show by visiting our TeePublic page for some TMI branded goodies such as hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. tpublic.com/TMI Confessionals, all one word.
A 5-star review would be incredibly nice as well. I'm just saying.
Thanks again for listening. We truly appreciate you. Be sure to come back next week. We'll save some popcorn for you.
It's a megalodon.